say that all is good. You say that all is great. I say that y'all can't. And that's cause y'all seem fake. That's cause y'all seem. You say that all is good. You say that all is great. I say that y'all can't. And that's cause y'all seem fake. That's cause y'all seem. Hope for a minute you'd notice me, but you didn't try. Living out a dream, but got caught up in something different. Think I'm probably just a piston and inner workings of engines. Put my pen down for a second, end up watching it as it trembling. Cause I've been trembling, look around and I'm feeling frightened. Put my head down for a minute, pick it up and then watch this life. Pretended righteous and realize that my evil just be something that's a part of me. Partly I'm keeping see-through. So you can watch your bits and pieces when I eat you and see my inner demons when I scream and try and reboot. But peace to it. Walk away and throw my deuces up. Tracks from my brother who died, who never knew me much. So that who trashed me, all I threw was love. For my moms who always put up with my stupid stuff, grew me up, placed a kiss on every single bruise and cut. For suburban stoners getting high and making Lucy runs. For everybody who threw me love, I'm here to throw it back. That strange cat from the cul-de-sac trying to flow around. So exact, to extract my mental, straight from my pencil onto page, over instrumentals. I'm kind of feeling like a sage. Get your incidentals and go and throw them all I made. I'm getting paid. I think it's time I go my way. This is an anthem, baby. Let's get the burning up the sage. Let's get the dancing, baby. Cause now we hanging out with her. You say that all is good. You say that all is great. I say that y'all can't. And that's cause y'all seem fake. That's cause y'all seem. You say that all is good. You say that all is great. I say that y'all can't. And that's cause y'all seem fake. That's cause y'all seem. Guess it's another rap on printer paper that you'll never see. I ain't past the past, cause I'm passing sticks with the scent of weed. Till my past catch up, my mask collapse, and I'm left with me. My dad's asking the passion to be the death of me, but my dad's a bastard. I'm the captain of the 7 seas, but maybe that's ass backwards. I'm with a legend speech. I'm a cat bagging, my pack is all to the left of me. We passing Dutchies to the right and say we living recklessly, but I don't know why I say I smoke, cause now I never do. Guess I got a lot of stoner friends and think they hella cool, but who the hell is you? Cause that's the question needed. Wish could break it down in a lesson and find the better pieces, but I'm a college dropout, questioning my message thesis. I'm off the pot now thinking that's the way I better keep it. I lost my thought, now my brain derailed and we're off the tracks. My mama wished I was a poet. Oh, but what you got was right. You say that all is good. You say that all is great. You say it all can change. But it all seems fake. But it all seems. You say it all is good. You say it all is great. You say it all can change. But it all seems fake. But it all seems.
The pain inside, don't wanna feel it. Yeah. So I pour up inside my cup and I just sip till I can't feel it. I know it won't solve my problem, but I know it makes a difference. One more sip and I'ma fix it. Out my body when I'm tempted. I told her one more, she heard me say you quit or she dipping. Yeah.
Hey, y'all, it's Unsolicited with Security Boss. I hope everyone is having a good evening. Thank you so much for joining me. Matthew Bentic, I haven't talked to you or seen of you in a while. Thank you. The Atlanta Thrasher, haven't seen you before, but thank you for joining us, Brittany. Hello. So listen, guys, thank you guys for being here. Listen, we have an awesome night planned. And listen, when you come in, make sure you hitting that thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribing to Security Boss Unsolicited. And put that notification bell on so you can get these notifications when these lives come out. Just do that. It doesn't cost you anything. That's what I heard anyway. So I want to do a little housekeeping, let you all know a couple of things. All of you that are over on Security Boss Making the Cut, I need for you all to please come over to Security Boss Unsolicited. Security Boss Unsolicited. Come over and join us on this live. Yes, please do it now. Do it now. And I thank you so much for doing that. Also, if you're subscribed to Making the Cut, come over and subscribe to Unsolicited. Yes. Jen, I'm like, hi, how you doing? Listen, y'all, I'm so glad you all are here. We're gonna have a night of conversation. Hope all you can join in. It kind of represents this is about all of us. So if you haven't caught the topic yet, okay, the topic is can masculine energy be attractive in women? And I want to know what you all think. I need to hear this because some say yes, some say no, some say yes, some say no. And of course, I say yes. I think masculine energy in women can be very sexy. I really do. So I'm going to let you all know about that and where I got that from. Also, there was an initial contract from a young man. He says he actually has the right answer. He said if it's a good balance, then definitely it can work. So we're gonna talk about it. We want you all to join in. We have a guest tonight, Kosher Clinician. He's here. But let me just say this because I almost forgot to say it. Initially, we put out an advertisement advertising myself and Courtney Michelle. We were going to have some discussions with Courtney Michelle, and that's exactly what it was going to be, a discussion. But for her own reasoning, Courtney decided that she could not make it tonight, so she canceled. So if you all are here to see Courtney Michelle, I'm sorry. Hopefully, Security Boss Unsolicited can do this thing without her. But just stay, just see what happens. You know, if you want us to reschedule that discussion, give me if I can get about 50 likes tonight, I'm gonna go all out. If I can get 100 likes tonight, we will reschedule that not interview, that discussion because I just wanted to talk to the young lady and just find out who she was. So very positive. That's who Security Boss is. But anyway, moving right along because the show must go on. Big time drum. Hey, how are you? Yes, right, Jedi. You are still here, and I am too. And the show must go on. So let's keep it going. So y'all already know the topic. Y'all already know the topic. The topic is can masculine energy be attractive in women? All right, I'm gonna start with my story because I'm like the best example of this. I consider myself a very traditional woman and a lady, and I'm gonna tell you how I got there. Initially, as a young child, I rode go-karts, mini bikes. I played sports, softball, table tennis, ran track, did everything you could think of that was very active. I was with my dad. My dad, not with my dad, but I was a daddy's girl. So he showed me how to bleed brakes. I I was in the car driving fast. I was sitting on his lap driving. I did all that stuff as a kid. All right. 5 and 6 and 7 years old. I did those things. Loved it, loved it, loved it. As I got older, my love for cars, I still have it. I love the engine noise. I love to hear my Hellcat 707 when it whines. I absolutely loved it. I also love working out, lifting weights. I mean, those are the things I grew up on. I found myself to be very sexy, and others did too. They actually told me so. But anyway, we ain't gonna talk about that. So anyway, as I grew older, at about 19 years old, I decided and told myself that now I'm going to become a lady. Not saying that that wasn't a lady, but it had a little tomboy ring. I know y'all agree, so I'm not going to deny it. But I didn't feel like I was a tomboy. But anyway, so about 19, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna be a lady. Imma wear perfume, makeup, high heels all the time, everywhere I go, and that's what I did. But I never gave up the lifting weights. I never gave up the running, the jogging, those things that some might consider very masculine. I didn't do it. I kept it. That's who I was. That's who I am. So, when I hear men often talk about masculine energy and, it's one of those things that they come against women with. I question it because I'm like, "Dad, I did kinda masculine things when I was younger. I like the engine roar and all of that. So, am I really feminine or is there a problem? So I did a little research, and what I came up with, I'm going to share with you all. And I want to get y'all feedback and you let me know, because I know anything toxic, including masculine energy, is not good. But I want to look at it on the positive side, because it's all in our makeup. We act the way we do because of our upbringings, most of us. Okay. So Sea Breeze 322. Hey, Sun Breeze. Y'all know I can't see, right? Y'all all the way across the room. But anyway, Sun Breeze. I've seen your name before. Thank you for joining. But I just want to go over that, because there's a lot of people, a lot of women, that can relate to what I'm saying. And there's a lot of actresses and movie stars, or whatever you want to call them, out there right now that are ladies that are married. They have very masculine jobs and they do them very well, but they still go home and they're ladies. Their husbands love them. They're married. They've been married for a long time. And I want to know, and I want everybody to get this balance. And I want women to get this balance, because I know what you're talking about when you say this person has masculine energy. I also know what you're describing, but tonight we're not talking about that, because we're not outlining bad behavior. We're looking at the positive side of it, and we're going to see how we can fix it all the way around. So anyway, masculine energy, believe it or not, masculine energy has nothing to do with being a man. Okay? It doesn't. Masculine energy is just what it is. It's energy. It's us tapping in to those things that have masculine characteristics, like aggression, being aggressive. It's like rushing, instead of nurturing. It's like being impatient instead of being patient. All those things are what we call masculine energy. We just, when it's time for us to do our task, do we tap into that, or do we go to the more feminine side? I mean, we can be intuitive. I mean, y'all have heard of that. An intuitive person is somebody who's always talking about, well, I feel like I had a feeling. And women's intuition, y'all know that's what feminine is. That's your feminine energy. If you tap into that, that's your feminine side. But on the other side of that, if you become very analytical, logic, facts, data, and all of that, then you just tapped into your masculine energy. So, what I'm trying to say is, males and females, we have both masculine and feminine energy that we tap into within us. So, it's not a negative at all. Now, when we in our everyday life, we say these things, and we always trying to make a point or have a talking point to put somebody else down, but nobody's putting Beyonce down. And y'all know for y'allself, Beyonce channels her masculine energy not every time. Most of the time you see her, she's channeling her masculine energy. What about that? Girls, we rule the world. What is that? Very aggressive. The girl got it going on, very sexy, and she's married to who? Jay-Z. Now, unless y'all calling Jay-Z a simp. I know you're not. I know you're not. So again, Beyonce, she has the answer. Then you got who else? Angela Bassett. Angela Bassett is an actress. We all know who she is. She's been Tina, acting Tina. She's on that 911 show. She's on a whole lot of different stuff. Oh, listen, a fun fact about Angela Bassett. She's 63 years old. I mean, when I grow up, y'all, I wish. Now, she's holding it together like that because that woman has some amount of discipline that gets her and keeps her in the gym. Did y'all see her arms? How cut up they are? Beautiful. And she's married and been married. Her husband is Courtney Vance. So again, her masculine energy is sexy and she's doing it right. She's married. Now listen, y'all, everybody might not know this next woman, but her name is Remy Ma. Now, Remy Ma is a rapper, a hip hop, whatever you want to call her, a rapper. She hardcore. Y'all see her. You probably know her better than I do. And Remy Ma, she done been through things, done been to prison, did her time, very masculine energy. But now, have y'all seen Remy Ma lately? She's all about her feminine, all in her sexy, and is married to Papoose. So, That brings me to this. My opinion, masculine energy is and can be very sexy. And y'all don't forget those women that just love those motorcycles. I'm not necessarily talking about the ones that drive them, but when you see a woman riding on one, very sexy. That's masculine. So listen, guys, all I'm trying to say is let's don't beat each other up because of a characteristic that may have had some toxic things attached to it. Let's just say that because it's also can be a positive. The young man earlier, one of my first comments was that it has to have a balance, and it does. And we have to figure out how to keep it balanced, you know. But it's real. Masculine energy is not a negative. It's all in how it's displayed. I've also come across people, and I said I'm not going to spotlight the negative, so I'm not. But if you want to spotlight the negative, you can and ask some questions about it or how you can, tune in to your feminine and your positive masculine. Please do. But for me, I'm telling you that masculine energy can be and is very attractive. Now, listen, I am going to open up the chat and I'd also have a guest. My guest is kosher clinician. Coach, I can't talk today either. So how about that? And I'm gonna bring him up, and I want him to let me know what he thinks about can masculine energy be attractive? Since I've told him what I think. Kosher, how are you? You're muted.
Hold tight. Can you hear me now?
Yep. I can. You hear you very, very well.
Well,
Thank you.
great. Well, it's a pleasure. We had a great discussion today, talking
We
about
did.
tradition and how tradition plays a role in the social development of not only men but women. So, to bring the topic into discussion, can masculine energy be sexy,
Attractive
attractive? Right.
in women.
Yes, it can if it's harnessed correctly. It can be
Absolutely.
if it's harnessed correctly. But the problem now, security boss unsolicited. I got it right.
Yeah, you did. Go ahead.
But the issue now is that it's not harnessed correctly. It's actually harnessed to be against the man instead of riding with the man. Fannie Lou Hamer had some elements of masculine energy when she was advocating for black people, when she was advocating for her husband, because all men and women have the masculine and
Masculine
some feminine.
energy.
Now,
Mhm.
but watch this. But because men have testosterone, we have a high level of masculinity. And because women have more estrogen, they tend to personify that more. The problem is because we have a very dysfunctional culture, many of our women tend to personify masculine more because of a myriad of issues. Socialization could be one, the lack of fathers in the home, and then also it could be environmental toxins that can cause them to be masculine as well. Some studies say that men testosterone levels are actually lowering, and men are becoming more estronized. So if that masculine energy is harnessed to more or less acquiesce the purpose of their husband or that man, then it can be sexy or it can be attractive.
Well, listen, what about when you're not within a marriage? Just because, like I said, I did very masculine things. Well, some would associate it with being masculine energy, of course, before I got married. I'm the athlete. I love the cars. I love driving fast. I love engines, bleeding brakes. Whatever my daddy said do, I love to do it. That's what he knew and that's what he taught me. This was not in marriage. This was before marriage. I
Right,
do
right.
understand what you're talking about though, because I have seen the masculine energy. But let's talk about that a little bit because when you say it's being used against men, I want others to be able to cam up in just a little bit too, because I have seen some very masculine behavior in women. I said I wasn't gonna be negative, and we're gonna keep it positive because we need to get to the bottom of it because it definitely needs to change.
Right, right, right,
So
right.
um
But Brittany B, she articulated it perfectly. She said, I believe masculine energy carries an ego that can be very bad if not controlled by a woman. And she's correct, the same for a man. The ego for a man is personified in power and strength. The ego for a woman, a lot of times, is personified, the feminine is personified in vanity and beauty. And so the way that ego is personified is more or less a manifestation of the sex. So masculine energy for the sake of masculine energy is not necessarily bad in itself if it's more or less designated towards purpose. But if it's designated towards self and power, then it's very negative. It just
Say
depends
it.
on how.
The power is where you is what it is. It's the
Right.
power.
It's the power. Men can more or less use their masculinity or masculine energy for the bad, or they can use it for the good. Christ was a masculine man, in my opinion, but he used it for the good. And so it depends on how you use it, how you distribute it, how you harness it. But unfortunately, we live in a world where we don't more or less respect true masculinity or masculine power or masculine authority. And a lot of times it's to the detriment. So many black men in America have been, conditioned to defer power instead of demanding it. And because of that, it's been a negative, in my opinion, because, I think you're the exception to the rule. You had a strong masculine father and a husband. You knew how to harness yours for the good.
Well, I
But
didn't even know that it was a problem with it until until YouTube, because I didn't associate those things that I did as being a negative.
Mhm.
But I like what you said, and I like what Brittany said as far as the egos, and that's what I want to really talk about. That's what I want to get into.
Mhm.
I do need to know and hear how masculine energy now in women is tied so much to their egos, and why do they have such egos? Where's this ego coming from? Where's this ego coming from? Because we see it, I've spoke to it a few times. I've told ladies before that we're gonna have to let the ego go.
Mhm.
Because for me, I don't associate now. Y'all understand what I'm getting ready to say. I see ego as a separate thing from masculine energy. I see masculine energy as a source where like I said, a characteristics or a form of energy where I pull to get whatever, energy that I want to do something. An ego to me is something totally different. That's I gotta win. I don't associate that with being the same thing as characteristics of masculine. Because remember, it's not about a man. Those to me are two separate things. Why do women have to win? What is it in women, us, me, that would say I have to win? What am I overcoming? Why is this ego here? That's what I want to know. But that's the only way we can help or change this situation, because everything a woman do that is out of line is considered to be masculine energy. And
Right.
I think we're saying incorrect things.
Well, that ego can be there for a myriad of reasons. The ego is a manifestation of what's called unconscious and conscious motivations from a clinical perspective. Everybody has an ego. The ego
Right.
can be primitive, the ego can be balanced, or the ego can be at a super state. Freud talked about the psychoanalytic theory, and he talked about the ego, the ego, and the super ego.
Mhm.
One is primitive, one is more balanced, and then one is more tends to overcompensate to some degree. Everybody have an ego that's more or less channeled in a different direction based on their life circumstances. But however, if you want to tie it to theology, theology calls it the sin nature. And so everybody has that ego or that sin nature to control because we're not spiritual. And so when you're not walking in faith and spirituality, you're more prone to the primitive nature of the ego, which is to more or less usurp power, to control. And sometimes security balls unsolicited, it can come from unresolved trauma. Because many people that have personality disorders, a lot of times they develop an unhealthy ego defense mechanism in order to help them overcompensate for the lack of attachment or security they got as a child. So it can come from a myriad of reasons. It's a myriad of reasons. It can be attacked by so many different angles.
Well, Big Time Drum says the ego, I think, started from being Miss Independent.
Right. He makes some excellent points. Right. Right.
I also read that Jedi says that ego comes from pride.
Right. And so I'm going to address Big Time Drum. He's correct. And I'm going to break it down for you. Remember this. It's one thing to say I'm going to be soft and self-sufficient until I get a man. Because soft and self-sufficient until I get a man is still a virtue of being harnessing a level of masculine energy. She's doing for herself because the masculine is doing and the feminine is being. So she's doing for herself until she get a man. But our women have been conditioned due to vicarious trauma or rebellion that says, I'm strong and independent and I don't need a man. That's a succinct,
Absolutely.
that's a succinct
Absolutely.
difference. I'm strong and independent and I don't need a man. The first one is a woman operating a level of masculine energy until she gets her husband. I like what you said when you got married to your husband. You
Right.
were waiting to be optimized, to be synchronized with your husband. And
Absolutely.
so a woman should be interdependent with her man. If she's fighting with her man for the sake of building, and she's on the front line helping her man, she's in her masculine to some degree, but it's harnessed because she's under the umbrella of her man. Do you see my point?
Yes, I
But
do.
and so like the brother said earlier, that ego has come from anger. It's come from vicarious trauma of the mom. The mom got with unsavory men. They got with some dusty men. They looked past some decent men to get with the quote unquote guy that had swag. And so because that man hurt her or left her with a child or children, then she tend to associate through overgeneralization all men as being bad.
Right.
Therefore, she developed an alter ego. She developed an alter ego. You like that, right?
Yeah.
She developed an alter ego. And you know what the alter ego was? I'm about to break it down to you. I need you to take some notes. I'm about to drop some fire for your mind. Are you ready?
We
Are you
ready.
ready?
We ready.
Boss bitch.
Like it. Love it. Listen, I wanted to let me go back and get that. Oh, here we go. Brittany B had a comment. She says men have a competitive nature. If you are acting in your masculine, then it may come with that.
Mhm.
Wanting to win would tie into that. Wanting
Right.
to win.
Mhm.
So women are saying, Brittany is saying that there is some competition that's going on between man and woman
Mhm.
right now.
Mhm.
I
Right.
don't get that. Okay.
Well, Brittany is right. There is
Oh,
some
yes, she's definitely right.
competition going on. It goes back to, as I said earlier, back to the sin nature. If you are advocate of theology, the gospel said that there was a that the woman would have a desire for her husband, but he would rule over her. And
Right.
basically, it's saying that there's been a war between men and women for power, and that's an ego. It's been going on since the fall of man. And,
Parliament.
and so if you look at through the lens of theology, then you see the conditions that you see now. Many women want the power. That's why they're not willing to concede that power. And so when that power is not harnessed for building a family in a community and being under the guidance of a man, then that power is out of control. There are women that operate in their masculine when they're doing jobs, but when they come home, they turn it
Yes.
off. They know how to turn it off and say, now it's time for me to be back under the umbrella of my man, which is the master masculine. And he's going to harness the masculinity that I have in me for the betterment of my family and for the betterment of my community, but also for the betterment of society. But we don't have that balance anymore because we have dysfunction that's permeating security boss, but then not only the psyche of the mind, but also to the stratus of society.
You're right. So what do we do? What do we you know what though? Let me say this too. I agree with you, everything that you've said.
Mhm.
But I want a woman to say that to me.
Mhm.
I've never heard a woman say that to me. Although it's obvious that there are some issues and there's some competition and sometimes they think they're smarter and all of that. I've never heard a woman say to me that I'm in competition with this man. I got an ego problem with him. He's not better than me. I've never heard a woman tell me that. I've heard many men say that because that's the end result. But I've
Right.
never heard a woman own up to that and tell me that. Never.
Mhm.
So I'm looking for a woman that has some problems with men or masculine energy to say that, to say, this is why I do this.
Mhm.
I would love to have that because Kosher, I've never had a woman say that.
Mhm.
Things happen, of course. There's lots of arguments. There's lots of pushback. There's no peace. And I agree with all of that, but I've never heard a woman say that. I've only heard men make that argument. So
Right, right,
I'm go ahead. I'm sorry. Go
right.
ahead.
That's why you can't have two alpha males, because they're both are dominant. It's polarity. One must be submissive. When men do things based on hierarchy, we don't do things based on group. The feminine is more corralled. The masculine is more positional. The feminine is corralled, but the masculine is positional. And so a lot of times two alpha males have a hard time coexisting because one will have to submit.
Right.
And most alpha males are not going to submit. That's why a lot of times the boss chick or the alpha females don't do well with very dominant men unless they can harness that energy, unless they're very cerebral. It depends on if she's an 80-20 quote unquote alpha. But see, here's the crazy thing. An alpha female to me really is a feminine woman, not a woman trying to joust for power. An alpha female to me is a woman that's very feminine. She's the ultimate of being feminine in a room of women, in my opinion. But sometimes we tend to associate alpha as being dominant. And alpha just basically means lead. So is she leading from a masculine or is she leading from a feminine?
Feminine, right.
Right.
So listen, Brittany B says, I don't have a problem with men. I just do what I gotta do. I don't know what that means exactly, but this is her response.
Well, Brittany B is probably, doing what a lot of women have had to do, sometimes due to bad choices, sometimes due to them more or less learning negative coping mechanisms through dysfunction. But what it sounds like to me, I got to do what I got to do. She sounds like a good sister that's not covered. She sounds like a
Right.
woman that's not
I can
covered
agree with
under
that.
a man. So she's having to operate more in her masculine than operating in her feminine. And because of that, she's always doing instead of being. The
Being,
masculine is doing.
doing,
The
right.
feminine is that
It's
piece.
being.
It's being. No different than when you look at reproduction between the gametes. The sperm is on the run. Is action. But the feminine, the egg is being. It goes through the canal. It waits in the uterus to be fertilized. It doesn't do anything. It just waits. And the masculine is active. And the first one to fertilize that egg wins. That's why men tend to die off earlier. They tend to die off a lot earlier.
She says, Kosher, I'm not covered. Yes, thank you.
Right,
But
right.
I don't see that as a negative. I mean, she's not covered. She has to operate as an adult woman in this world. So she does have to, like you said, she has to wait until she can be before, so it's things she has to do. So her masculine energy would have to be
Right.
used at different times. I don't see that as a negative. That's what my point I'm trying to make
Well,
is.
it depends on how you look at it. And you made a very good observation. It depends on how you look at it. How long would she be uncovered is the answer. The problem is women now are being uncovered, security boss, a lot longer than they should. You were blessed. You got married
Yeah.
in your 20s. Most
Right.
women are not getting married in their 20s for a myriad of reasons. Some are born that's putting their career first instead of putting family first. That goes back to the vicarious trauma piece because that woman had to struggle because the man was not there or because of the choices she made in men. Then they said, girl, get your career. And some of the men did it too, based on, slavery, based on economic opportunity, based on economic sustainability. But I think a lot of times our men also gave our women bad information because what they should have been telling them is that, listen, sweetie, your main focus should be your family. If you want to get a career started, there's nothing wrong with getting a career. But let your family be your main priority in the pursuit of getting a career. If you happen to get the career before you get your husband, that's fine. But you should actively be working on getting you a husband to harness that career so you can build. There are plenty of women from other countries that can have a career, but they put their family first. Family always come before that career. It's God, family, and careers last. In our culture, we put career first, and a lot of times it's to the detriment of the woman. And unfortunately, hot girl summer, they wait too long, and after they don't have all their fun, quote unquote, by the time they're ready to settle down, it's too late. And because women by nature are hypergamous, and most women in the Western world tend to be what I call carnal hypergamous. There are two concepts. Carnal hypergamous is very exploitative, but kosher hypergamy is fair and fit, similar to what grandma and great grandma was. They weren't trying to screw a man over, but as long as that man loved them, took care of them, and provided for them, then that woman was happy. But women now, they can get a decent man, but he's not good enough. So they keep trying to get the best of the best of the best of the best until they end up with nothing. Carnal hypergamy is of the flesh. Kosher hypergamy is of the spirit. That's the difference.
Okay, so Brittany B says, yes, if masculine is an energy, just think of what I might be attracting. More feminine men, i.e. emotional men, men who fall under my leadership instead of leading because I'm in that energy.
That's excellent. She's right. She's right.
But you know what? Let me say this, Kosher.
Go ahead.
I invited Brittany B to come up and speak with us tonight, but she was busy. So now she's going to make us read all her paragraphs from the chat. I'm not going to say that. We're going to drop a link in a minute. And Brittany, I'm still extending myself to you to come up and speak to us for just a moment. Not going to keep you long if you like. If you don't, I understand. We'll continue to read your chats. But I wanted you here because you are a good example of what we're talking about. But I do not want to spotlight any negative. I want answers. And we're definitely going to drop the chat for anyone else who wants to come in. And we're going to do this one at a time so everybody can hear, say what they need to say, ask questions. And over the top, hello, how are you? Thank you. And we're definitely going to drop the link. And I want individuals to come in, ask their questions, because again, I do think you can have masculine energy and be attractive. But again, it has now been turned into something else, and we got to get it back on track. And I agree with everything that Kosher says, but the ladies now, we're losing. We're definitely losing. And we have masculine energy. So let's see, can we get it back on track by asking the important questions and finding out where the hurts are or where we went wrong and turning it around, because it's our decision. We have to take accountability for what we do. It's still on us. No matter what we went through, it's still on us. At this point, I'm saying at this point. So Kosher, if you got a minute to do that, I would definitely appreciate it.
If I have a minute. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, go ahead. I got you.
All right. Yes, all right. So anyway, the link will be in the chat in just a little bit. And so any of you that want to come up and let us know what you think about, can masculine energy be attractive in women, let us know. Let us know. And also, when you come in, make sure you have given us a thumbs up. And we are going to be shutting down the Making the Cut live in just a little bit. So if you're over there looking at this live on Making the Cut, please come over to Unsolicited. Please come over to Unsolicited, because we're going to be shutting down that live in just a little bit. So thank you for all of that. And Kosher, let's get back into it. We have DeMarcus. As a masculine man, I don't want a woman like me. I would agree with that. You, I think, just tuned in, and what we've demonstrated or called out was some of the things that masculine energy, that women and men both have masculine energy. I myself too, but I'm a very, very feminine woman. I'm nothing like my husband, nothing like him, but I do like masculine things, and I do attack some tasks with masculine energy. I can be considered aggressive, especially in business. I can be very assertive. Oh my goodness, analytical also, but I am being, because I do have a covering. So this is where we are now. We're looking for answers. And we also came up with some reasoning as far as women having egos and wanting to win. We've seen this. We've seen this very well. I've also had to speak to ladies and say, we can't do that. Now, why that is, I don't know, but that's what we're trying to figure out, because I want marriage. I want marriages to succeed in our culture, because that's what needs to happen. Now, I know you all say, Kosher, I know you say that we're not going back, but I'm just optimistic that we can have more marriages in our culture and become better people. So with that being said, Jedi Mike, how are you?
How you doing? Can you hear me?
I can hear you very well. So listen, what do you think about this? Because you're the person that brought up the egos. I think one of the persons that brought up the ego. So can masculine energy be attractive in women?
Yeah, I say it can be, but in terms of, I think the wording might be, kind of be misconstrued in terms of masculine means of acting like a man, or in terms of what comes with the traits of masculinity, in terms of getting your priorities right, taking charge or something in situations, not being so, I say keeping your frame in terms of, not being emotionally unstable. I could say in certain situations of high stress and high pressure. I could say that with my personal relationship, it's like, I wouldn't call it masculine. I just say, to me, it's like there's different things in terms of the them insinuating, them taking charge, or actually I have to say, like, I don't say taking lead, because it's just in a situation, like I said, I think it gets misconstrued in a lot of different panels and topics about, well, this was the definition of masculine, this was the definition of femininity is, because I think it's for me, like, my presence in terms of as a man, and I like it how you guys mentioned in terms of, like, us as women, they basically cultivate the masculinity in the man, and I do believe the same way in terms of femininity on the woman, right? Just knowing that, how can I be in terms of my frame, and not knowing that I'm not making her sure that I'm letting her rest in her femininity. Because you're right, it's saying that us men, we do is not really intentional, it's subconscious that we are competitive. So in situations, whatever it might be, whether it might be in terms of money, which that could be a big conversation, so when that comes through, just saying, okay, now someone might be taking a more initiative of paying a lot of things, and then it gets to a man like, I need to pay more. I'm not doing enough, or blah, blah, blah. But she never said, no, oh, you're not paying, so I got to pay. She just did it because in her head, well, all right, I'm just, taking care of my priorities. But like I said, the combative nature, thinking that there's some things that felt, as women, you're not supposed to carry, So I think on that note is that I think it takes a relationship to actually establish that middle ground, but also just knowing in terms of the importance of the roles. So that's why I add to it.
So are you saying that we're using masculine energy, the term, incorrectly? Let's say on these YouTube forums, are we using it
Yes.
incorrectly? I
Because I
agree.
wouldn't say masculinity in women, because I just don't think I don't view a
Agree.
woman to be masculine. I just like
I
that thing, and I mean in terms of like
I know what you're
as
saying.
normal,
I know what you're saying.
yeah. So
And
that's one, yeah.
I think that causes a problem to use it incorrectly because
Mhm.
it's almost like I'm not gonna say just men. I almost like the YouTube is beating women over the head with this as a negative when it may not be a negative.
Well,
But again,
right.
like you said, go ahead and say it. I'll let you use your own word.
But listen, the personification of masculine, what men are trying to say is there's an overabundance of it. Your masculinity is harnessed and it's balanced. It's balanced just like you, but it's a wildfire with a lot of these relationships and a lot of these families. Most boys are not raised in families where they see balanced masculinity. It's out of
Nope.
control in many of these families to the point that a lot of these boys have been raised to be simps. So I don't think that the red pill space where men are saying it because they're trying to berate women. You're very
Okay.
intellectual and you see the balance behind it, but you are intellectual. But you got to look at through the contextual framework of what men are saying. Needs drive behaviors. And so when a man is not getting the need met, and when a woman's personifying that that's not feminine, then those men are going to start crying that these women are very masculine. And I'm going to say overall, more than 80%, most are very masculine. They're not feminine and they don't know how to harness it. You are a covered woman that's assertive. You're a strong woman, but you know how to harness it. These women don't know how to harness it because you were trained to be a wife. You were socialized to be a wife. You have a spiritual covering and you have a spiritual understanding. But a
Yes,
lot of these
ma'am.
women don't. They don't have a spiritual covering or understanding. And many times they fight their husbands, they fight their men because they see black men as less than. They don't see those men as men. They see them as subjects to serve them. Just
Mm.
like you got the queen bee and you got the drone. They see black men as drones. They don't see them as king, as no wasp or like a super hornet, nothing like
A
that.
yellow jacket or something.
Right. Well, but technically a super hornet because hornets can kill a bee, but
That's
but
true.
but they don't see them as hornets. They see them as subjects, which are drones,
So
and they
listen,
do. Yeah, go ahead.
let me I'm sorry to cut you off. Let me tell you this. Blue Collar TV says masculinity is only toxic when talking about black men. What do you
Right.
think about that?
I totally agree. It's not only just black men; it's all men. Be honest with you, security boss. But
Okay.
anytime men pursue anytime men exude their dominance as men, then it's a problem. But watch this. Here's the caveat to this discussion. Watch this, because I'm about to drop some fire for your mind again. You have a lot of women. I'm about to drop it. Did you hear it?
Yeah,
Fire
I see it too.
for
Fire
your
for your
mind.
mind.
For your mind. So I'm about to drop some fire for your mind. So watch this.
Another killer content.
Did you know that
I
the lead
appreciate it.
attorney was in the room?
No, I
No,
didn't
just
know.
kidding. Go ahead. Go ahead.
But watch this. You have a lot of women that they say they go under the umbrella of being a Christian. They go to church every Sunday. They say they love the law, not the Lord, but the law, because I'm from the South.
Uh-huh.
But here's the problem. When you look at Jesus through the lens of theology, the Bible said that he spoke with great conviction. He spoke with great authority and power. When
Mhm.
black men speak with authority and power in America, they are seen as misogynistic. Watch
Mm.
this. When
Mm.
Jesus told the woman at the well, he
Uh-oh.
told the woman, he said, go. He said, woman, he said, go. He said, sin no more, unless something greater come to you. Jesus was a man. He wasn't a simp. He wasn't a cream puff. He was full of compassion, but he also was a man. And so when
Yeah.
men begin to manifest masculinity, a lot of times because women have not seen it, they've grown up in a stew of dysfunction, they fight it. But at their core,
Mm.
they really want it and they really need it. I've seen and heard of women that were more or less masculine, but when they got under a strong masculine man, when that man checked them, they fell right in line. That
So it
masculine was
can it
harnessed.
can
Come
happen.
on.
So it can happen.
Oh, no doubt it can
That's
happen.
very good. So listen,
Right.
I was gonna meet over the top. Being dominant, assertive, confident is something. Hold on, I lost it.
Mhm.
Hold on for a minute. It's something what a lot of high stressful jobs women have to embrace. In other words, women have to do this. They work jobs that call for assertiveness, confidence, and all of this, and we have to embrace it. You're exactly right. We do, and those are things that take masculine energy to do. So I agree with you.
Right,
Also,
but
go ahead.
a lot of our women have been conditioned. Women have been conditioned based on what their moms told them. Said, "Girl, don't you get married right now. You go get that job and that career." So a lot of our women chose the fate that they're dealing with. You know, they chose the fate. Now, I'm not against a woman getting a career. Let me say it again. I'm not against it at all.
Hmm.
But when you have been socialized to put your career over family, then that's the recompense of your era. That is just the recompense. So you can't complain on one end about the high stress of the job, but at the same time, you wanted the
You
career.
opted to take the job. You're exactly
Right.
right. So listen, Jedi Mike, thank you so much for being here. I love you. I love what you added, but I got to pull somebody else up. And don't listen. Continue to follow. Continue to subscribe. Remember, Security Boss Unsolicited.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Bye bye. All right, big time drum. How are you, Mike?
Oh, I'm doing fine, and you?
I'm doing well. It's good to have you here. What do
Yes.
you think? Can
Uh,
masculine energy be attractive in females?
well, going back to the comment I made, um,
Okay.
I think it's subjective, and let me explain. So I say it's subjective because, um, for example, like you said, you're into cars and
Mm-hmm.
racing and so forth and so forth. And for me, I don't have a problem with that, right?
Right.
Whereas another guy, that could be a turnoff in the sense that that's not feminine to his perception. Got it?
Right. Mhm. I do.
Now, but at the same time, here's my pushback to that, right? And I'm just going to use myself as the example. So if you're into the cars, you're into the fast and to this and to that, I'm like, hey, that's great. However, even though that might be considered masculine energy, I mean, doesn't make a difference to me. But the difference becomes is okay, if you're going to change the oil,
No,
fine,
we
go
didn't
ahead and
do that.
change the oil.
Mm-mm.
No, but check out what I'm saying. Check out what I'm saying. Check out
Okay.
what I'm saying.
Okay.
Check
I'm
out what I'm
following
saying.
you.
If you're going to change the oil, go ahead and change the oil. But are you still feminine enough to accept that? Let me open the car door for you. You see
Absolutely.
where I'm going with this?
Absolutely, I do.
Right?
I do.
So if you're feminine enough to still show me that side of you, then all these things that you're calling out, it's to me it's masculine energy, but it's not dominating, if you understand what I'm saying.
I do.
Right. But at the same time, that's what I'm saying. I think what you're asking, in my humble opinion, is kind of subjective.
Objective to the
Yeah.
kind of man that you are.
Right. Right.
Okay. Okay.
Because I don't think the question applies to all men, because with the kosher clinician, I'm pretty sure, well, let me ask you this, kosher clinician, are you in a relationship?
Yes, I'm married. I've been married for 26 years.
Okay, so here's a good example of what I'm talking about, that I'm pretty sure there are certain things, with his wife, when he chose his wife, that she had a lot of qualities that, as far as he's concerned, that's the feminine that's attracting to him. You see what I mean? Even though she may have some parts of the masculine, but it wasn't domineering to the point that it made him say, nope, I'm not going to choose this woman. Am I correct in saying this, Kosher Clinician?
I'm not going to choose this woman. So I want you to contextualize that a little better. Go back and reframe it for me, because I want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly. So go back and reframe it for me, brother.
Okay. So what I was asking was, when you chose your wife, right?
Right.
You had certain morals, values, and so forth that you already knew for yourself. If I'm going to choose a woman, she has to have certain things.
Yes, sir.
Correct?
Yes,
right. So with that said, I'm assuming that majority of the morals and the values that you've listed for yourself in saying, this is the kind of woman I'm going to marry, the majority of it was all female energy. Correct?
You mean female energy on her behalf, correct?
Yes.
Right.
And a small percent of it was masculine energy.
Well, yeah, I'm sure there were some levels of her asserting herself that was masculine, but it wasn't what I call an overdrive. It wasn't frenetic, it wasn't like a buzzsaw.
So, right, and that's the very thing that I just said a few minutes ago was that it's not one was dominating over the other. Mm-hmm. You see? And so you proved exactly what I'm saying, is that it's because of the kind of balance that she has, where she has more of this and less of the other, that made you say, yes, that's the woman I'm going to marry.
Right. Yeah, she was definitely more feminine than masculine. And my wife was a cheerleader in high school. She did she played sports, but it was never towards me. The problem that a lot of men are having in these spaces is that it's always directional. It's not harnessed. It's directed towards the man.
Absolutely.
And men are looking for women that complement them. The sexes are supposed to be complementary.
Of course.
I've said in the past that men and women are optimized to be synchronized. When God made us, he optimized us to be in synchronicity together. Mm-hmm. And so, like Teddy Pendergrass always said, he said, you inspire me. Men want a woman that's going to inspire him, a woman that he can synchronize with, a woman that can help him meet his mission. Because I'm going to go back to the tenets of theology, if you believe it. If you don't believe it, then I'm not talking to you. But the gospel says that the woman was what? Made for the man. It says that man is the glory of God and the woman is the glory of man. But we live in societies now where the woman thinks she is the glory, a man is the glory of her. And she does not more or less respect her man. And men are, by nature, are fixers. We're doers. Men love to fix things. But if she's busy fixing everything, then he doesn't need her. Men like to feel needed.
So listen, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
I'm sorry. Yeah, but again, that's why I say it's somewhat subjective, because, what is she fixing versus what can you accept her fixing?
I think I see where you're going, where you're coming at. I don't think it's subjective if your masculinity is well defined. I believe there's a plane that a woman follows on. It's like a train track. She's going to either get on that track or she's not going to get on that track. It's up to her.
Absolutely.
And so it's up to the woman to get on that track as she's in and as she's in unison with her man. Yeah. So it just depends on what that woman wants to do. The problem is, Big Mike, men have not seen it enough. And then it also depends on if you're more of a more dominant man. There are different variations of a man. Some men are more alpha, some are more sigma, some are more beta, some are more some are omegas. It just depends on the man. I'm a dominant man.
Right.
I'm very dominant.
Right. And so doesn't that Right. So doesn't that sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you got to complete that thought. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so doesn't that go back to point number one of me saying that's subjective?
Yeah, because it depends on the man. You're
right. Right. It depends on the man. Right. Right. If you want to look at it that way, right. But it depends on the man. So it can be subjective. But if you look at it through an objective lens, it's not. But because once again, I believe that the feminine and the masculine are complements of one another. I believe there's a law of
Yeah.
masculine and feminine being in unison.
Right.
It's called the yin and the yang.
Of course. Of
So
course.
so that's not subjective. It's either fixed or it's not fixed. But
Hmm.
however, you are correct, depending on the man and how he perceived things due to socialization. Yes, it can be subjective.
Hmm.
So
Go ahead,
listen,
Security
guys,
Boss.
make sure when you're coming in, you have given a thumbs up. Um, I want to go back to a comment. It was from the Ingram experience. I'm sorry, I kind of let it go. I read it and I wanted to, read it out loud. But he was saying that hobbies are not masculine energy. And I wanted to kind of push back on him just a little bit because hobbies are masculine energy. Um, Masculine energy is just what it is. It's the energy that we tap into to do certain tasks. Men and women both have them. But
Right.
what we're talking about, we went past that. Once we defined it as what it is, we have now gone past that and figure out how it's toxic in relationships. But we're trying to keep it positive and not not spotlight the negative, but it is actually energy. The hobbies that a woman chooses, I gave myself for an example. I even like to shoot guns, so I
Right.
do all these things that people may, say are very masculine, but in my relationship with my husband, I'm a feminine woman and I'm a lady. But that's what we're talking about. So I do want to hear more from you, the Ingram experience, and about what I just said. So getting back to that, Mike, did you want to have anything else to add? If not, we're gonna bring Miss Brittany B up.
No, no, no. I
And
mean, that's pretty much, what I just wanted to just talk about, the fact that it's subjective, and, just get a point of
depending
view.
on the man.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But for the most part, I would say, um, you know, I guess feminine and masculine energy, just like with what Kosher Clinician is saying, there's a yin and a yang, right? Because we as humans, we both have certain things that we're domineering and we're submissive at. Okay. So just like, for example, with you and your husband, you know, he could be the best cook, but he could be crap at cleaning. And that's where you take over. So you see the yin and I'm just showing you a simple example of yin and yang.
I agree with you.
Yeah. So, anyways, I don't want to take up too much, but I just wanted to share that.
Thank you for coming.
All right, all right.
See you
So,
soon.
all right, see you soon.
All
All
right,
right.
brother.
All right.
We're good, brother.
So listen, AJ, and I saw that again on Ingram Experience. You're exactly right. I agree with you. Shooting guns not masculine, but it's a very aggressive sport. It is. And that's what people consider aggressive is masculine. That's a masculine energy. And what I think that on YouTube is what we call masculine energy so much for me is just women having bad egos or having egos. So I think we're using that term incorrectly. Now, you don't have to agree with that, but I think we're using the term incorrectly. What I see is egos, and I think we've kind of outlined it before. But if masculine energy best fits the behavior, I understand why we would call it that. But I just think that we're kind of maybe using the term a little incorrectly. Kosher,
Well,
what do you think?
well, and I love and respect you because you're very cerebral. You look at things from all angles, but you
Yep.
got to look at it within its contextual framework. The behaviors that are being exhibited a lot of times associated with being masculine, which is aggression. And so, what the men are saying, as I said earlier, is the behaviors associated. If you nuance it, I see where you're coming from. If you're trying to nuance it, but I think what the men are saying is what they really mean. They feel that most modern women are very masculine. They're very masculine. I don't consider you masculine. I consider you to be very assertive. And
Right.
I think it's a time to be super boss, and it's a time for you to fall back, and follow your husband's lead. What we're
Right.
saying is that a lot of these modern women don't know how to do either, and so that's masculine because just like a wildfire, masculinity can be seen as energy harness, or it can be seen as a wildfire. If it's a
Right.
wildfire, it's aggressive. And so it's like an electrical circuit. It's very aggressive. It's out of control. Look at our community and look at some of our women. Many are out of control. They don't respect their men. They don't show their men respect. And If you're constantly fighting your man instead of respecting his authority as a man, then you are out of control because God is order. You can't say you believe in Christ and you're out of order. A lot of our women are out of order because they don't respect masculinity because they've never seen it. And they've been conditioned to think they're better than their men. And so men want somebody that's going to compliment them. A man want a woman that she can be his peace, his cheerleader, somebody that knows how to build him up, to push him forward to his greater mission because she was made to push him forward. If a woman takes care of a man, guess what that man's going to do for her? He's going to fight harder for her. Women don't understand they have more power than they really know, security boss.
No, yeah.
They have
I
more
agree.
power. Delilah got Samson, the strongest man in the world, because she used her femininity. It was manipulative, but it was still feminine. She manipulated him,
Yeah.
but she was feminine. She pushed him to tell him her secrets. But most women have not been socialized to do it. They think fighting and showing a man how tough they are makes them a man respect them. It doesn't. Because with men, the more aggressive you get, the more aggressive we're going to get.
Right.
The more softer you are, the more we can become more complementary, which is optimization of synchronization.
I agree with you. Now, listen, let's bring Brittany B up. Now, AJ says, I understand the notion of what is generally accepted as masculine or feminine. It's not a hobby that's the issue. It's the woman and how she carries herself. I agree. I agree. I just know that a lot of times women are being grouped in a box. Now, listen, understand this. I don't agree with the behavior. I don't want it to happen, but we got to figure out a way, in my opinion, to help the women. And like, again, if we just beating them over the head without any instruction, that's not helping.
Well, that's where you come in line, and you've done a great job with some of the shows, but many times you keep living, they're going to fight you too.
I gotta be ready.
Right.
So,
you got to be ready. Right. Because you got to understand, this is esoteric. It's spiritual. It ain't just physical, but it's spiritual. And so you got to be ready to fight it because it's, theology says the spirit of the Antichrist. And so, it's anti-order and it's anti-authority. So you got to be ready to fight it. You just haven't got to that battle yet, but it's coming. Get ready. It's going to come. But when it comes, will you be ready to deal with it? Because they're going to start calling you names. They're going to start telling you to shut the H up. You don't know what you're talking about. You just haven't got in those circles yet. You've only seen a small fragment of it. Our women are not conditioned because of negative socialization and also liberal indoctrination to respect masculine authority. As the brother said, anything that's seen as masculine is seen as toxic.
And
so
I like what you said, masculine authority. I think it's more authority than anything. But I know it's geared towards men, but I think it's more authority than anything.
Right.
I do. So Miss Brittany B, come up so we can see your beautiful face.
Oh no, this is bedtime time. I'm a first shifter, so I'm gonna stay behind the camera today.
This is your bedtime, okay?
Yeah, so I just wanted to come up because you said I was in the chat, and so I just wanted to stop by. But Kosher, it's my first time seeing him or being on a panel with him. So nice to meet you. But I've seen him plenty of times. He actually agreed with what I said. That's mainly where I'd be coming from. I've never heard that I was masculine, but I've always heard that I was aggressive. And so
they've never said masculine energy towards you.
Because I guess I didn't tap into it until I come in these spaces,
right?
And realizing, especially in my last relationship, how, and I've said this before, so I noticed as I was doing my thing, and like I said, when I say I just do, it's because when I work or, plan out life or stuff like that, as a single person, you just do what you have to do, Like you said, I'm a single adult living in this world. When it's time to go get it, time to make money, time to whatever, I just know to do that. It's not anything abnormal. So when I got into my last relationship, as I was going along, I noticed he kind of fell back. And I didn't realize it at the time because I hadn't even come onto YouTube yet. I wasn't even watching any of these, channels. I knew something didn't feel right. And I think one day it just hit me. He was in a relaxed mode. He was in his, like how you guys say you give your woman the space to operate in her femininity. I gave him the space to just relax, to the point where, exactly, shake your head, because it was real. And I didn't know what was going on at the time. So I don't know. It was something new I've never felt before. But
Well, the word masculine and aggressive really is just an interchange of words. Some people say masculine, some say aggressive, but it's synonymous to being the same. They're all correlations of one another. But I promise you, you probably don't attract very masculine men. You probably attract beta males.
Yeah. And that's what I meant.
Right.
Like, aggressive was like coming up. I did play basketball. I did, I was just rough. So when I got older, of course, I relaxed a little bit on those things. But like he just said, right now, he just kind of stepped back. He didn't take any of the leadership roles. I did. And only because I was already operating in those spaces, because, he just, we got together and I just continued. And I guess the space was never made for me to relax. I actually made the atmosphere. So I can see what people are saying. It's just when you realize it yourself in your life, my behavior has never been a negative, because people look at me. And that's why I said sometimes masculine can be tied into ego, because they'll look at me and praise me for my actions. As far as like, girl, you getting it, you doing your thing, I like what you're doing, and it's all positive. It's nothing like, girl, some people say you need to stop working, but nobody ever says you need to stop working and let a man, you know what I'm saying? Nobody ever has said those words. And so it's different when they just saying you need to stop working to relax, but they don't say the rest of it. They don't never say you shouldn't be doing all that. You need to go get you a husband and let him. Nobody's ever said those words. So it's just.
Well, you definitely want to. I heard you say it, that you want to be more feminine. You want to work on your femininity, and sounds like to me you're saying I want to align myself to be the best person I can be as a feminine woman, so you can
attract the
man, the leader.
Not
just the man, the leader.
Because on top of just actions, my mental is still, I won't say my mental is masculine, but it's very, I'm very logical. I plan out, I'm strategic. I'm a lot of things that, take on those characteristics of leadership. And only because I have to be a leader in my own life. And, sometimes if I don't see it, if I see a chink in your armor, then I can't, there's no relaxing. Actually, I might go harder, because I already can feel that you're not going to be able to step up. So
how do you feel about men, though? Oh, is that what you, go ahead. How do you feel about men? Earlier, Kosher said that a lot of men, he said how men feel about women. And I told that women think they're smarter than men, think they're better than men. They don't listen to men. They don't respect men. And I said to him, I've never heard a woman say that.
I've never said those things.
I was asking
and I even when he said it, I was thinking, because I'm like, I've never, I might have never said it verbally. If I wanted to be honest, I probably never said it verbally. I probably said it with my actions.
Right.
Meaning, I know I can, I can outwork you just by my actions, because I know I can, and I might not say I can outwork you, but if I go and work 16 and you only worked 8, you're going to feel some type of way, and I'm not stopping. So it may come out that way. Mm-hmm. So you don't know. You never know.
Well, you don't always have to say it verbally. You can be thinking it. Sometimes the thoughts are worse than the actual saying. And so let me ask you a question. When were you born?
85.
What year?
Yeah, I'm 36. September.
Month? Right. And did you grow up in a family where you saw masculine? Because you're very probably self-sufficient. You don't like asking folks for help.
Nope.
And so that's a byproduct of being a Virgo. You don't like asking for help.
Oh, I'm a Libra, but
okay. Well, so you're balanced. Okay, good. But the point is, did you grow up in a family where you saw masculine order and masculine authority?
Yes.
Were you under a strong father? Did your father guide you?
I grew up with my grandparents. So my grandparents raised us, and both my grandmother and my grandfather both worked for the government. So my grandmother was a worker, but she was like a dainty lady. And my grandfather was very, masculine, but he was a laid back man. So I didn't really learn a lot about my grandfather until he got older and I got older and I was able to talk, because when we were younger, granddad worked third shift at Lorton in Virginia. And and so we knew not to make any noise because he was a third shifter. So I seen my grandfather work and we went to church. And I referenced this because I don't know, I can't see the chat, but I told Kaya that I watched the live stream with her and Suzanne Speaks, and I can relate to Susan's upbringing. Sometimes when you're under the when you grow up in the church and stuff like that, you don't really, they're not really telling you, they're showing you. So it's not verbally that they said, hey, you need to, my grandmother would say, you need to be more ladylike, but she didn't really say, do these things, and even when it was to be a wife, she never said, you need to do this to find a man, because they're trying to keep me saved. So to keep that balance from, thinking about the Lord and being saved and sanctified, they're not going to put, they're not going to make sure you know how to get a boy too with that. So I thought about that. I'm like, there was no balance, in that, but everybody in my family is married. My grandparents were married. My uncles, both of them are married to women that were in my life my whole life. So, I mean, we saw marriages, but it wasn't like, girl, you need to go get a man,
So I can relate to that too, because I too said the same thing. There was no tutelage, and no one taught you how to be a wife. It was just something that you observed and something that you did.
Right.
I too made the decision to be a lady and decide how I wanted to operate in the world. So you're right about that. But are you now ready? So you did say it. You're ready now to be a feminine woman, and so what do you think is the first step to doing that?
Well, I believe I've always been a feminine woman. I probably just put up a wall because I know what type of woman I can be, and I didn't want nobody to take advantage of it.
Right.
Yeah. I after looking at that live stream, I thought about that really hard, and I realized what I did and when I did it. And so, just tapping back into what that looks like is really where I my next steps, because I did build a wall, and I know I did because my heart is genuine. And so it was very scary to know, like, I know if somebody gets, the wrong hands get on this is not going to be good. So I built.
Right. And that's proven what I said earlier. That's proven what I said earlier, because of vicarious trauma. For whatever reason, a lot of women have put up walls. You can't be in a relationship if you're not willing to be vulnerable.
Right.
And so many women come into relationships with walls up instead of being relaxed. Some of it is self-induced trauma, getting with dusty men they should have never got with. Mama probably told you, child, leave that man alone, but you said, no, he's cute, or he got some good sex. And then also, the more you get with these bad men, then you tend to project through a concept called displaced aggression, and you tend to overgeneralize and associate all men as being bad. So you're not willing or worthy, not worthy, but you're not willing to allow yourself to be vulnerable to be in a relationship because of the pain of the past. It's called a schema affliction. Schema means a fixated way of thinking. Affliction is due to pain. A lot of men have schema afflictions, but a lot of women have it too. And so in cognitive behavioral therapy, we talk about a schema. A schema is just a fixated way of thinking. Your schema could be, I don't trust men. All men are the same. I can't be vulnerable. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think I can trust. I've been married before. I've been divorced 10 years, and I was engaged not too long ago. So yeah, I'm a wife, so I know it because I know my heart. So but yeah, there may be some trust issues in there, but yeah.
Well, Brittany, I told you before, I think you are awesome. I'm glad that you came here and shared your story. I wish you had more time. I wish you could have, did the way I wanted to do it. But I'm glad you still came and shared with us.
Yeah.
I also mentioned to you that I would love to be somewhat of accountability partner to you if there is something that you're ready to do. because I need it for myself, because what I do every day. So I would love to be that with you, or in any way help out, because I am an older woman, give advice where I can, fit in where I can. But, I definitely appreciate you coming and sharing what you've shared thus far.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I'm not ashamed of nothing, because it made me who I am today. So I have a beautiful, beautiful life. So yeah, and I definitely do this because I know there's ears out there, and because I was born in the family I was born, I know there's souls out there that need to be, you need to get them. So if I can help anybody, I'm willing to do that. And my voice is kind of, I got a little voice because I was, my voice is gone. So excuse my voice, but
Listen, I think that you can help a lot of people. I think you represent a lot of women. And that's kind of what Security Boss Unsolicited on Mondays nights is about. It's definitely about making women the best women that they can be, for marriage, if that's what they actually want to do. But I want to read this at Sunbreeze. When you say, I think a masculine woman is a disciplined, independent, stable, practical, and passionate woman who knows how to carry herself, doesn't mean that you are masculine.
right.
I agree. Now, listen, there was another comment. It said, Brittany, let down that wall because it's like kryptonite. Raycon and Spooky. So I like that. So that means they got their eyes on you and they're waiting patiently. So definitely, I want to continue to talk with you. I appreciate you coming tonight, and we will see you soon.
Yes, I thought this topic was I thought it was interesting. I was thinking about it all day at work. I'm like, I don't get it. What is she trying to say? Because I don't, I'm listening. And the great thing about me is I take in information and I'm learning. So the first thing I told you, you remember I DM'd you, I said, the men ain't going to like this because I don't see where we're going with this one. So
well, listen, this is well, when it comes to Security Boss, we're making women better for men, because I advocate for men. It's not that I don't advocate for women, but women have been doing bad things.
Right.
And I see it and I know it. So all my angles are going to be to have women be more accountable. And people tell me all the time. I mean, I get comments all the time about she masculine, even myself. And I know how I conduct myself, but I do things with masculine energy. I do. So I can't say I don't, or I can't pretend that, I'm all this lady and a little damsel in distress. My husband didn't make me that way. We got all kind of escape plans going on in the house. Somebody break in, you grab your gun, I grab mine. We got all this together. I can't pretend that doesn't exist and just be like a damsel. I'm going to stand behind them. That's not real. That's not my real life. So I can imagine, like Kosher says, uncovered, how would I be? How would I be? Probably couldn't nobody say nothing to me. I go grab a gun. Who you talking to?
I've never been you can't say nothing to me, but I do. I think people, before I can say anything, they've already made the assumption that, oh, well, you're good. You got it. You're all right. I'm always all right to somebody. And I'm thinking, maybe I'm not. So if you think I'm all right, I guess I gotta be all right. Because, I mean, I even had a man once I was, dating or whatever. And he said, the reason why he loved me is because he didn't have to worry about me. And I'm like, that is weird. I want to be worried about. But I knew what he was trying to say, because he knew I had a good head on my shoulders. But it was,
Yeah, well, no, I want to be concerned about my woman. If you're under me, I'm always be concerned about you. Where you at, baby? What time are you going to be back? Some women see that as being controlling, but it's not controlling.
No,
control this. Right. If a man listen, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. If you're bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, you're my rib. So I love my rib. So I want to make sure my rib is covered. So if you're not in sync, I need to find out where you're at. And that's why I do what I do. That's why I started this platform as a licensed therapist, the Kosher Clinician, to not only empower men to be better versions of themselves, but also how to more or less get power and demand power from the right woman. Our men and our women have been socialized through a negative angle. We got to restructure a lot of that negative socialization for our men and our women so that we can get the outcomes they want. But I don't see it happening once again in our generation. security balls unsolicited. I don't see it happening in our generation.
I know you keep saying that, but guess what? You're gonna be around me long enough. You're gonna be like unsolicited. I think you done made a headway today.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have you thinking like a Libra instead of a Leo. How about that?
Well, listen. I think it can happen in pockets, but
Oh yeah, definitely.
you and I have had
Definitely.
these conversations in private.
Definitely.
It's spiritual.
Yeah.
And the headways is not the prognostication is not looking good.
It's not looking good. I agree with that.
And so we just gotta go. We gotta Top Gun got that from me.
That was Brittany. That was
Look, tell Top Gun I got a whole stream on Anton page. You can look at me for 11 hours. I'm about to go to bed tonight and tell Mr. Rucker he go to. I already spoke to him. And shout out to all my ladies in there.
He done made you his ex-wife. You know that, Brittany?
Huh?
Mr. Rucker made you his ex-wife.
No, I did that.
You made him. Okay.
Because I told him I'll sign the prenup. It's not a problem because if you with somebody forever, it's just another piece of paper. So,
absolutely.
And I heard his story and I understand why he would kick somebody to the curb once you get to that table. If I said we want to be together and you bring up a prenup, I'm okay.
Absolutely. So, all right, Ms. B. I want you definitely to keep up with me. I'm gonna keep up with you. We're gonna see each other again. You know that. So we kind of hang out in the same circles sometimes.
and tell Ms. B if she haven't subscribed to the channel, tell her to check it out. I'm Security.
Oh, yours? I'm subscribed.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. I love
and if you haven't subscribed to Security Boss Unsolicited, please do.
No doubt.
And also to Kosher Clinician. You said you had, but any of you that are in the chat that have not subscribe to Kosher Clinician, please do. And also Security Boss Unsolicited.
Thank you, dear.
People have a tendency to go to the wrong channel and subscribe for me because I have 3 right now and it's kind of confusing, but forgive me. Right, I definitely want to read this. Okay, listen. At this time, we're going to shut down Security Boss, the live on Security Boss Making the Cut. So if anybody's over there and you're watching this live, please come over to Security Boss Unsolicited. Please come over. We're going to continue the chat. And if anything you want to say, come over and actually give me a thumbs up on your way in. I appreciate you. But come over to Unsolicited, subscribe to this channel, and definitely hit that notification bell. But right now, I have to read this from the Ingram Experience at Security Boss. Wait 1 second, because it just went away. Wait 1 second. I'm reading. Okay, at Security Boss Unsolicited. You're not trying to challenge men, overtalk men, shame men. Those are masculine things. You are exactly right. And no, I'm not.
Right.
And it has been explained. And I definitely want to say it again. I do have a covering. I do have a husband and I've been married for 25 plus years, 26 actually in November. And so I'm not. But a lot of times everyone gets grouped into a box of masculine energy. And I just wanted to demonstrate or display some of the things that I do that are very masculine. And I just wanted to talk about it to make sure that we're getting this right. Because I do know women need instruction. They don't necessarily need to be called out all the time. They need instruction. Brittany B is a prime example. We had a conversation with her and she said she's never actually heard Kosher say anything, but she learned something from him. She took something away. Instead of just all of us being put in a box. Let's teach someone something. That I do things that are masculine. Shooting a gun is an aggressive habit, or not a habit, aggressive skill per se. And that's something I enjoy doing. My husband has trained me this way. This is real, y'all. He's trained me this way. I am Security Boss. I'm captain at work. I make decisions every day.
Right.
So I'm seen in a certain way. And if we're not teaching, then it goes back to something else I heard a couple of days ago. I'm not going to get off the subject. We have to be very careful of what we're teaching. I was on another show and a man made a very strong gesture about, what did he say? Telling a woman, shut the F up, B. And he represented a group of men that were supposed to be empowering men. So my question is, if you're empowering men to do that, what are the women supposed to do with that? Now, I'm going to push back on that every single day. But the message that he supports or the group or the organization that he supports, I like what they're doing. But we have to be careful because the next generation, they need to learn what's correct, learn to do it right and not get the pushback. Nobody needs to push back from the beginning. They need to at least hear what we're saying. So you got to get in some kind of way. So for me to get in, I'm saying, okay, look, I'm just like you. I do these things. I do that thing. It's okay, but it's okay to be a lady. And that's how I show up. So you know my secret now. So that's where I'm at. So anyway, hello, Miss Mosaic with TJ Rend. What's your last name? I can't hear you.
Unmute yourself.
Good evening.
How you doing,
What's the
TJ?
last
What's
name?
going on?
What's the end of this?
Randolph.
Randolph. Mosaic with TJ Randolph. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I heard you earlier on the Kosher Clinician show, and I did subscribe to the channel, and I've liked on my way in.
Okay, thank you. Well, did you subscribe to Unsolicited? I'm telling you, listen.
No, I subscribed to you.
Okay,
Unsolicited.
We all are pretty much new at YouTube. Would y'all say? Y'all, we all been doing it right a little over a year, or So we have taken on 3 channels over here. And this thing is so confusing that it's like, oh my God, I have people, going to my professional channel and subscribing there, and I don't even do a lot there. So I'm like, oh God, what are we gonna do? So I'm telling everybody. So please just bear with me when I say this over and over again, unsolicited. So again, thank you for coming. And what do you think about, can masculine energy be attractive in women?
It depends.
Okay.
And I say that because I think some would characterize me in certain aspects as masculine because of my background. Again, I was a military officer. I have firearms. I have a firearm in just about every room, and I like to do pow pow, and and I was a military officer. So in that respect, it requires a certain amount of I guess masculine energy if you're going to have men and women do as you instruct them to do. I think one of the challenges is, and I heard part of Brittany's story, is that, there are assumptions that are made, and I didn't hear all of it, so please forgive me because I just literally wrapped up my broadcast. But I do know, me as being the oldest in my family, being a single mother, then being in the military and not having a covering for many years, there was nothing to balance that. Brittany talked about that she had a wall up. I think sometimes it's unconscious, because in as much as I said that I wanted to be in a relationship and I wanted to be in a loving relationship and I wanted to be a wife, there, unwittingly, there were still the aspects of my military leadership role that I carried over into my relationships that were very masculine, because I just, I thought I was doing the right thing, but I wasn't. And then to Kosher's point, and my father said it yesterday, you talked about the trauma. I forget what you said, but
it's vicarious trauma, meaning they live through the negative experiences of their parents. A lot of time their mothers is vicarious. There's a treatment model called internal family systems, and it talks about the parts of the men and women and how trauma has impacted them not only in life but also in relationships. So it's called vicarious, meaning you're living through the experiences of others, and you sometimes consciously, as you said correctly, and unconsciously take on traits or characteristics that a lot of times are a detriment to your behavior. That's why I say a lot of times women become saboteurs of their own demise from an unconscious perspective, but also sometimes they're doing it consciously too.
And you're absolutely right, because I definitely think that I took on some vicarious trauma from the things that, that I saw my mom deal with. And in as much as I said I was not going to endure those things, I kind of did the opposite, to be overboard, to be, protect myself and to ensure that I wouldn't be hurt. But when I did let the guard down, to your point, Kosher, I let it down to the wrong people. And my dad talked about it yesterday on our show, that I would give to the wrong people, and then one wasn't given a return. So what happens? I'm becoming hardened. I'm not being trusting. I'm not, because I've allowed myself to trust the wrong people. And then when I was not reciprocated, I became a hardened version of myself. So I'm really grateful that I started to do some of the work to help me get to the core of why I was doing that, because like you said, Kosher, you cannot be in a relationship, or you should not be in a relationship, if you are not free to be completely vulnerable, to be completely open and trusting. And I swear to you, when I've shared with y'all, I've met my husband online. That's not the best course for everybody, but I shared that there are many facets of me, from the little girl to this to that, and I wanted to be able to show every aspect of who I was to that person. And I can do that. And I can do that with a covering. And it's interesting because there are times I can be masculine, but there's no need for me to be that with him, because he has it. And sometimes it takes a while to realize that you have it, but you have to work on it. You have to work at it, because even now, because I'm 54 years old, there's sometimes I'll see that he wants to do things, and the masculine part of me wants to take over and do it. But I talked to say, be quiet, Terry. Let him do it. Don't say nothing. But it's daily, because again, I asked for this, man. I wanted this, and so I'm gonna be what he needs me to be, and to know my role. But again, it's daily. And again, as we get older, it's harder. But if we want to do it, we will make every effort to work on it, every effort, and it's worth it. So I think, in answer to the question, it can be attractive, because in certain aspects, I will say, before I retire, my husband would love to see me in action.
Mm-hmm.
He would, it would turn him on, but I'm just saying. But anyway, he would love to see me in action,
So TJ, you said that it's a daily thing that you, of course, work on or pray about. I'm not sure what exactly you do,
yes,
but I want to know what it is what would you advise someone else? Because you are an elder. I am an elder too. And we need to be able to advise younger women that the behaviors that are masculine, that are harming them or keeping the men away, is not the way to go. So what would you say what would be the first thing, or what was the eye opener for you? The first thing that you recognized that you said, I got to do.
Okay, listen. Especially because I had been single from 2002 to 2018 when I met him. Okay, that's a long time. So a long time of doing things my own way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the relationship I had before I met him, I remember the man had now he had faults of his own, but we're not going to talk about that. We're talking about mine now. He washed the dishes one time. And I remember going behind him after he washed the dishes and telling him that he put them in the wrong place. Instead of being appreciative of the fact that he did them. So that was something I had to get a revelation, that it doesn't have to be my way. But again, that was part of me not having to balance anything, because even with my daughter, we did it my way. So I had to learn, okay, Terry, so what if he put them in the wrong place? The man washed the dishes, or the man, so that was just one example. So even now, my husband, he'll wash the dishes, and sometimes, he'll put this, and I don't say a daggum word. I look for where it is. If I can't find it where it's supposed to be, I say, thank you, baby, for washing the dishes. Thank you for doing, and that's it. And that's just an example. And it doesn't have to be the way, he doesn't. And my daughter, who's 27, she's married, if I think my husband puts his socks in his shoes, that burns my grits. But again, I just know where they are, and I just go do them. So again, instead of it having to be my way, it's just not worth it. And I tell you something, I'm sorry, go ahead.
You in some way have submitted to your husband's authority.
Oh, in every way.
That's what it is.
In every way.
Right. Okay.
In every way. And I tell you, I swear, I was visiting my dad in California. We just got back literally today. And he had a conversation with my husband. And, he knew he was a great guy, but, they had the men conversation, and I don't know what they had. But my dad has said, he has never seen me.
Oh.
I'm getting emotional. I'm sorry.
Oh, wow.
He's never seen me this happy before.
Oh, wow.
He's never seen me this calm and at peace before.
That's good, man.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So you have to really let young women know that this is what marriage can do for you. This is the place you want to be. This is the peace that you need to experience. This is, you have your covering now. You can submit, you can breathe. How about that? You don't have to worry about it. That is an awesome story. I appreciate you so much for being here. And you got emotional.
You know, I swear I do.
Listen, that's probably coming from this new energy that you have of femininity. Because
and I tell my husband almost daily. You know, we went to California and I said, thank you. He said, for what? I said, you know, because I know you didn't want to go. I thank him for everything.
That's wonderful.
And I say, you know, he said, you don't have to thank me. I said, listen, I've waited my whole life for you. So, you know, again, it's just, and again, you know, he takes care of me in every way.
Oh, that's right. Okay, good. That is definitely good.
So that's it. But thank you so much for having me.
But I appreciate you. You got to come back because you got to be, you know how you always have those people in church that, you know, you bring it. So you got to bring it.
man, we got all this. We got all this air up on this panel. We got 1, 2, 3. All y'all got that air. Y'all air signs, man. You know,
you know I'm a Gemini. You know that, right? You know I'm a Gemini, right?
I know it, right. And you know the thing about you guys, you know, Ingram is the same way. Y'all are intellectuals, so a lot of times y'all like to see things from all angles. To the point, sometimes you can over nuance things to overthink it. Sometimes it's plain and simple, but it's all good though. I love Geminis and Libras. You know, we tend to get along very well because y'all are intellectuals, and I love it. I love intellectual people. It actually harnesses my thinking.
Kosher, you just a bulldog Leo. That's okay. It's okay. You got the top right hand corner on lock.
But you married one. So you married
but
one.
See, Leos are straight leaders too. I know that. Leos are leaders. That much I know.
Right, we are.
I have one. I have one right now.
There you have it.
Yeah, well,
y'all have a wonderful evening. Thanks for having me up. I appreciate
it. Thank you, TJ, and thank you, sister, for all you do. I love your balance, man. Thank you, sis.
You got to come back and tell us some more of your stories because you are what I consider a success.
Right.
I would love to.
And you're an elder, but you're in a modern time, and you got married very late, and you're still a newlywed, so you'll be able to definitely relate to a lot of women that are just getting into this, and be able to tell them about the struggles and how to get past it, and still be happy and new in your relationship. So that's an outstanding thing. That's an outstanding testimony. I can say it. Okay.
Real quick, I was telling Security Boss Unsolicited and also Ingram and TJ, we talked about it. I'm working on that project. It's going to be powerful. And I want to have all three of you on that show. It's called the Gen X Nexus. Okay. And it's going to be lit. So I ain't forgot it. I'm working on it. I'm harnessing it because it's our generation that started this bonfire that we see now. You know, I think we carried the torch of this function. Started with the boomers, but it's out of control.
So look, you gonna have us all in there crying? Is that what you're gonna do? We all gonna be crying. That's what's gonna happen.
Well, you know, Security Boss, I will tell you, I'm really grateful, and Kosher knows that, you know, my daughter, you know, a lot of stuff I learned from her because she's been with her husband for 5 years. They've been married for 3 because she didn't learn how to be a wife from me. So I, you know, and she tries to tell these young girls, young ladies, listen, you say you want to be married, but do you? Are you prepared to have what you say you want? And I had to be honest. I said I wasn't. I said I wanted it, but the truth of the matter is, if God would have gave it to me, I would have messed it up, and that's just real.
That's real.
Right.
Very real.
Right.
Very good. Very good.
She gave a great example, Security Boss, of where you were mentioning before about what men consider masculine, and we talked about hobbies. I remember you said hobbies are masculine.
Mm-hmm.
To me, like what she said, that's how she corrected the fact of telling her husband about the dishes when he washed the dishes instead of appreciating and she able to recognize that Noah Carmen. That to me would be like a masculine act more than you shooting guns.
Right.
Because what you're doing is you're managing men. Men don't like to be managed. It triggers what I call the mommy effect. Maybe Kosher can explain it different. Men don't like women treating them like they're their mom.
Right. It's called mothering.
That's the ultimate, like, because at the end of the day, I mean, later on tonight, we might want to have sex with you. Nobody wants to have sex with their mother. I mean, let's be honest.
I hope not.
It's just a, you know, it's kind of like a bad turn off. And what happens is with men is when we get too much of that, when women behave too much in that fashion, it comes off to us as masculine. And then what you get is avoidance, which is if you're dealing with a man that's non-abusive or non-aggressive towards women, the usual outcome is tell you to knock it off. And if it continues, he'll just avoid you and just avoidance. But I think that's what, in relationships, that's what men consider some of those acts as masculine, because you're managing, you're telling them what to do, you're directing them. You know, he's outside doing something and you're telling him how to do it. He's sweeping the yard and you tell him how to sweep the yard. And that's what we consider more masculine than anything else.
Real quick before I go, I will tell you, and again, for those mothers out there, whether you're a single mother or not, my daughter said, because again, she was military brat, I was in the military. What I thought I was showing her was one thing, but she said out her own mouth, what I showed her is how dominant I was in relationships. Yeah. And that's not what I thought I was showing, but I was showing my daughter how dominant, and it made me feel horrible because, again, to your point, what man would want that?
Right.
No man.
So I had those that avoided me because they, or I had those that, were aggressive with me. So, yeah. But again, I didn't realize, I thought, well, I was mothering them, and a grown man don't need a mother. They showed on one, like you said, they don't want to sleep with one. So that was something I didn't even know that I was showing my daughter for many years. And that's one of the reasons that me and my daughter have our conversations on Saturdays. So I can help some of the women that are in my age group, right, and she can help the women, and we can catch all the women in between.
Very good. But definitely keep it up, because it needs to happen, because we got to put this back on some kind of track. I know Kosher says no, it's not going to work, but like he says, in some homes it will. And if we can, because some people might right now tonight might be on the verge of leaving. So if you can slow something down and say, no, let me try again, or I've been listening to YouTube or whatever, I've been talking to TJ, whatever the situation is, and she told me a different way I can do this, whatever the situation is, we got to do it. We got to try.
Right.
Because that's how we're going to turn it around.
Well, I think it's a Band-Aid. It's definitely not the panacea or the elixir, but it's a Band-Aid. It's nothing wrong with putting a Band-Aid on.
But you guys are more of the anomalies, though, in terms of this space, even in terms of women's space on the internet. Because on this panel yourself, like Security Boss, you have two men on here and you have two women on here that with a wealth of knowledge and experience that you can share with other women. The question is, will they listen to you? Like, for instance, we saw Monique talk to the young ladies about the bonnets. She broke it down in the sweetest way. Baby, this is your auntie. I love you. And she just asked them not to wear flip-flops and bonnets and send them up with sweats in the airport. And they tried to cancel her.
Right.
So the question becomes, how well do those women receive the message?
Well, for me, let me tell you something. They don't. I've had some people real close to me could not hear me for nothing.
Right.
What I did say to them, and I said it here too on YouTube, is when I get that kind of pushback or I see that they're not listening, I just go to the young men or the boys and let them know what to look out for.
Right.
Because these women are red flags, so don't waste your time.
Right.
This is true. But I also think that there is a group of women who really, really want this, that are being overlooked because there's so much junk that we're not able to see those traditional women that really do want to be married and really do want to be feminine women and make it work. Now, when you find your mate, you still have to adjust in that marriage. It's not like just because you have the tools, it's going to be perfect. There's still got to be adjustment. But to know that a woman really wants it is what makes me continue to talk to them. But to go back to your initial question, a lot of them do not listen. They won't.
Well, that goes back to what we talked about today, Security Boss Unsolicited, when I did a Target show about you and also Sweet Lulu Bean called Having the Spirit of the Mongoose. And the spirit of the mongoose is that spirit that's willing to speak truth to power. That's something that you see more in foreign traditional cultures and also in some of the African cultures and the Afro-Latin cultures that you don't see here in America. You have elders like you and TJ trying to teach the younger women how to be women. But a lot of them, they fight it. And I told them it's a condition in the clinical world. We call it cognitive dissonance because they can't hear, which in essence causes them to have what's called mental fragmentation, which in essence is something I created called deaf. Kevin Sanders talked about sign language. Well, because I am the kosher clinician, I like my own stuff, I came up with something called deaf. They deny the evidence when you present it to them, as Mark said, Mr. Ingram said. They become enraged when you present them with the evidence. They argue the evidence, do ad hominem attacks, and then they fight you or they flee. And that's cognitive dissonance, which is a byproduct of something called mental fragmentation. So they can't receive it because the ground is fallow. The mind is synonymous to the ground. If the ground is hard, it cannot be cultivated. It has to be broken. And that's what Anton was saying when he was talking to you. He said, we got to burn the ground. We got, a lot of times farmers, in order to get a good crop, they will have to burn the ground.
Right.
They will have to burn it and start all over again. And so what I'm saying to you is that you and TJ are fertilizer. But the problem is this, is that fertilizer being put on fallow ground. Is it being put on cultivated ground that's ready to hear what you guys are saying? And I would say in large, it's less than more. And so we need more women like you, Sweet Lulu Bean, and also TJ that have the spirit of the mongoose, because there are going to be some serpents that are going to try to destroy y'all. When you speak with the authority and the conviction that you spoke with, when Sweet Lulu Bean speak with authority and conviction, as she's from the people of South Africa, and TJ, when she try to teach the women, some are going to fight y'all. They're going to call y'all all kinds of names. I've seen it. And so me and Mark have something that you guys don't have. We have provision. We can see things beyond. That's the gift that God gave men, which is provision, the ability to see things analytically ahead. Women a lot of times think in the here and now. You don't see what we see. And so that's why it's so important to follow the admonition of your man. I can see things based on patterns. And I'm trying to tell you, some will receive it, but many are not going to receive it. And that's okay. You keep preaching to those that want to hear it. TJ, you keep doing what you're doing. Sweet Lulu Bean, she's a mongoose. She's on it. She's a mongoose. But like I said, everybody don't want to have the spirit of the mongoose. They have the spirit of the serpent. And it is what it is. You can't worry about it because everybody's not going to receive it.
Well, and then to that point, you make a very good point, because I was thinking the pushback that they gave Monique, you're absolutely right. But I'm also thinking, of course, we're not going to hear that because the louder voices were the ones of the pushback. There were also some women, like my mom, those women that says Monique is right, and those girls are listening. We don't know them because, again, their voices weren't as loud in agreement with her. But I'm willing to bet there are some women and elders who said absolutely, because I asked my mom about it. She said we wouldn't even go out the house with rollers in our hair. Nope. So those women, those young women who are being taught to be ladies, those elders like myself would say, yeah, absolutely, Monique is right. And there are those who are going to want to get it, but then there are those who aren't. And even my dad was saying yesterday that, this is not new in a sense of elders trying to tell young people stuff that they just refuse to hear. And not just young people, old fools. This is not new either. But what is new is that we have a larger audience to share our foolishness with. Yes. So that is what is new, because there have always been, that's not new. So what is new is that everybody can see it now. So, but again, I'm still going to continue to spread the seeds with my daughter, spreading the seeds in hopes that we can reach some, and that person will reach somebody else, because you know, I may not see it, but I'm sure I ain't gonna stop trying.
Well, listen, as they say in the book of Nehemiah, stay on the wall. You're doing the good work, TJ. I like the show that you're doing, and also Security Boss Unsolicited. I was very impressed how she surgically executed her points of contention. She was very judicious. You know, she's the scale balancer. She was very judicious. But at the same time, she was very to the point. I was very impressed. But you're also doing a good job to talk about the maladaptive behaviors that you went through as a young woman. You are spreading it to other young women that are listening. Some will hear and many won't, but you guys are doing a good job. Stay on the wall, like they say in the book of Nehemiah. Don't come down. And I'm going to stay on the wall.
Absolutely. Y'all have a wonderful night, and I'm going to bed.
Thanks, TJ. Thank you.
Well, that was pretty good.
All right, Kosher. Excuse me, not Kosher. I got Ingram experience. You said, what was the last thing you asked? No, I don't fuss and go back and forth and yell at people, but I do want to tell you this. I am the captain of my own business, and it's a very thin line. They do not see me as mother, but they do say I'm relentless, and they can't tell me no. So what do you think about that?
I think that sounds like leadership to me. You know, I always talk about the difference between a leader and a manager. When you go into the room and you have a conversation with a manager, you leave with the feeling that that person wants you to feel like they're the most important person in the world or in the room. When you talk to a leader makes you feel like you're the most important person ever and you have value. So if somebody is approaching from a perspective of a leader, which there are very few leaders, as opposed to a manager, I think you can get away with relaying certain messages in a positive manner. But again, like you gave the example of shooting guns. Mm-hmm. If you're shooting guns with your husband or a man, that's not masculine. Now, if you're shooting a gun and you're telling him that he sucks and I'm better than you and you can't make these shots, now you're getting into masculine energy. So now you're breaking balls. And guys don't like their women breaking their balls to a certain extent. You know what I mean? Like now you're challenging my manhood. You know what I mean? Right. That's masculine. But I think what happens is when we give this, like, I'm glad you brought on this show because you're put into the forefront. You have two men on here, the Kosher's on here, and what you have now. We can get specific examples of what we consider to be masculine. That's masculine. Shaming men is masculine. Challenging men is masculine. Mothering men is masculine. Scheduling my day is masculine. Scheduling my weekend is masculine. You know, I'm a man. I have my own direction. I don't need a woman scheduling my week. Don't tell me what I'm doing next Saturday. Wow. And I may not want to go to your girlfriend's house next Saturday. You know, maybe I want to go play golf. You know what I mean? Like those are things that irritate men. You know, see now you're talking to men that have been married. I've been married. I've been divorced. So we can give you fact specific things that, you know, drive us away in terms of and irritate us to the point where we're like, man, I'm not messing with her. She's annoying.
Well, I agree with you. This is what I want because it's always in a little box, masculine energy. But when masculine energy is defined, it's not unattractive. It could be fine. It could be okay. But like you said, when you bring your examples or your own life stories, then we can see exactly what men don't want. I gave Kosher today that live that I did on Lapeef. I can say very well that men don't want women who have to have the last word. I mean, there's no doubt about that. They don't want women who overtalk them or it was another example that I gave. But either way, I could see crystal clear and give that as an example of what men don't want. But when we always just yell out masculine energy, women just have masculine energy and we just use it as a talking point and not being definitive about what it actually means. And
I see your point. Right. I see that. That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Well,
that's the meaning of what I meant. Because like I said, I have had people, and Kosher, I talked to you about this a little bit. I have had people say to me that I'm not traditional, I'm not feminine, because I am the security boss. You know, just having BOSS attached to what I call myself, is a problem. But, and they wouldn't even give me a chance. So, that's what I mean. I'm like, come on, let's get more specific in what we're talking about so we can make some changes. Because when you're just throwing people in boxes, it's not doing any good. It comes off more offensive than anything. But hello, Miss Sweet Lulu Bean. How are you?
Hi, security boss. Hi, Kosher. Hi,
My
Ingrid.
sister, what's going on?
So,
Hey,
welcome. I'm sorry about that. The Ingram experience, that's what I wanted to say to you, is that we need to be more definitive in trying to correct the problem. Because I think when women know exactly what they've done, because some men, believe it or not, love to be mothered, love the woman to do everything for him. Let me tell you something. This is just a private story. And this is because I saw my mother, be a wife. I fold my husband's underwear. Okay. When I did that newly in a marriage, he freaked out about it. He just couldn't believe that I was folding underwear. Right. He just couldn't believe it. Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? He had to have some kind of reasoning for me doing it. I was like, my mama did this. This is what we do. You have to have your underwear can't be wrinkled. That doesn't, that's not fresh. It needs to be folded. So I had to kind of manipulate him because he's always just like, you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. So I said to him, well, if I fold them up, it gives me more space in the drawer, and then we can put them color coordinated, and you can easily find what you need before he would accept me folding the underwear. So I had to do that in order for him to be okay with me folding the underwear. That just, I guess, like you said, it was too motherly for him.
well, no, I mean, like maybe he doesn't like his underwear, but folding the underwear is not like motherly for me. I mean, for other men, folding the underwear and then lecturing me about, why my underwear is this way or that way. That's a problem. You just fold the underwear and quiet about it. That's not considered like, so I think what's happened is what is not so much some of the acts is what is associated with the act.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if you're doing something, if we broke it down, men probably have about 5 or 6 basic needs. Our happiness is very, very easy. And one of them is we like our home is our sanctuary.
Mm-hmm.
And women become more valuable to us if they can maintain a peaceful home through their femininity, through their energy, through their cooperation. So when a guy comes home from a 12-hour day and he's been sparring with men all day long, or even you working all day long, the last thing he wants to do is come home and argue, debate. He's looking for a comfortable, quiet place to rest his head, maybe something to eat, hang out, whatever. He's not looking for a comeback. So I think it's not so much the act of folding his underwear or putting guy's socks away, lecturing the guy, but why is your socks there? What's this with their socks? Why your socks are so short? Why don't you get longer? That type of irritation that I think men consider masculine.
Right. I think you're exactly right. But I was just giving you an example of how in the beginning he misconstrued that as being motherly versus this. My wifely duties. I got to make sure everything in the house is straight. All right.
Where motherly versus mothering is two different things. You can be a wife and show your husband love and reciprocation by doing motherly things for him and the family, because that's your job as a nurturing. But mothering is actually directing him what to do, like you're directing the child. Right. And that's a succinct difference. Just like, Sweet Lulu Bing in her culture, she's from a culture where women traditionally disrespect masculine authority. That's why she resonates, and I think that's why you resonate so well with masculine men and masculine authority. You guys were my 2 target subjects in the show today, is having the spirit of the mongoose. And it's unfortunate because women don't understand that and it's to the right men. I'm not talking about dusty men. I'm talking about good men. I'm talking about good brothers. But women don't understand it's really to their benefit, because a true masculine man, the more you do for him, it's the small gestures like bringing his food to him. Mm-hmm. That's gonna make that man want to work even harder. He can say, I got her. Or she kiss him on the cheek, small things. Or she leave a note and say, love you, baby. That makes that man want to go even harder, because she's helping him to more or less push forth his mission. But a lot of our women, they don't get it. They think, the whole April Mason thing about serving the man a plate, he got to fix his own plate. And they wonder why they're perpetually single.
Hey, can I give you an example, security boss? Okay. Let's say, for instance, I did 22 years law enforcement.
Mhm.
The easiest job that I have is when I work with a feminine woman.
Mhm.
One of the hardest job I have was when I work with women that were overcompensating for their
Mm.
femininity. You come to a scene, it could be a domestic, it could be a fight, it could be guys on the block, right? And I pull up to the scene with that particular female who has all this masculine energy. And she's out there talking to these men like she's a man.
Mhm.
And I'm saying, first of all, you're gonna get both of our ass whooped.
Shot.
And we end up in a shooting out here.
Mhm.
As opposed to when I had a certain really feminine, soft talking, she'd go out there and break up. I mean, I never got into conflicts with her because the men could not. It's like kryptonite. We don't attack feminine women. Most masculine men, we don't like to fight or combat women, period. We try and avoid you or whatever. So when she goes on the block, well, most of the guys are trying to get laid. They're trying to get her number. They're not thinking about beating her up or whatever. But then this one person I worked with, guys get irritated automatically. She's challenging them, talking to them like, the man, they're like, I'll knock you out,
Mm.
So it's a different type of energy that men respond to. One woman goes there and she calms the whole damn block. One woman goes there and I'm out there calming the block. So it's two different experiences,
I definitely agree with you. Everything you're saying, I agree with. I like your examples. This is what we need. We need
Right.
these examples. I mean, because men go through certain things, and it's always like that. They say on the YouTube all the time, a woman is the next thing to white supremacy. A masculine woman, I should say.
Oh yeah.
Next thing. Right. So I agree with you, and I know exactly what you're saying. I just want more examples, more interaction with it, because like I said, the next generation gets things confused. They haven't lived enough life to know. And they only go on what they hear, and they kind of group
Right.
all women into these boxes. And they become disrespectful. I mean, like I said, I have some come to my platform, before they say anything, they starting out with bitch.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I want to hear what Sweet Lulu Bean want to add to the
Yeah,
discussion.
that's what I was getting ready to do. I'm sorry about that. Go ahead, sweet Lulu Bean.
Is she there? She must
Sorry.
be muted.
There she go.
We
can hear.
I'm muted. I'm so sorry. I've been muted this whole time.
Uh-oh.
So I was thinking about something. As you were talking about masculinity or masculine personality traits that we've taken on as women. So as we're coming in, I had a little spat with my husband just now, and he had to tell me to take the volume out of my voice.
Mm.
And I was just and he had to sit me down, and he had to say, you've got a strong personality. And I think this is what sometimes a lot of us women do. You think you excuse a lot of the way that you interact as part of your personality. That's just the way that I speak.
Mm.
That's just who I am. That's just how I express myself. And there are certain parts of our personalities that we've taken on bad habits. You can change your personality. You can become more patient. You can become more wise. You can become more mature. And a lot of times we find ourselves as women falling into these little traps.
Mm-hmm.
And part of my journey, and that's the balance when I think of that divine feminine and that divine masculine, is there are times when my husband needs to tell me what's feminine, like just now when I had the volume in my voice, and he had to say, listen, that's not how you speak to me. And there's a lot of things that as a woman that I've had to change about myself in order to be able to deal with him as a man. And I mistook it for personality. And it's only now as I get the correction where I realize that a lot of it, like I said, is a lot of masculine tendencies that we've taken on as personality. And a lot of women are out there. You're not who you think you are. You're not as strong just because you have to go out there and make that living and provide for your family. That's something you've had that's something you've had to take on in order to be able to face the world, and whatever it is you have to, whatever it is you have to overcome. And we don't understand that sometimes what we're reacting to as we think his personality really isn't. It can be changed. So in terms of masculinity or femininity, being with a man teaches you your blind spots as a woman. A man can teach you to be feminine, like how Security Boss, you had to teach him to allow you to be feminine and fold his underwear. And I understand that's the biggest fight we have with my husband, is the folding of underwear and t-shirts. So I'm right there with you. It's not coddling, though. A lot of times I did things for my husband and he would say, "You are not my mother." And I'm like, "Damn straight, I'm not your mother. But this is how things are done." Yeah. And so men haven't been, I don't want to use the word served because it can have such a it can have a connotation. I'll use the word dutiful. There's so many things that I do that he also had to become. I can iron my own shirt, and I'm like, "I know you can iron your shirts, but you don't have to. I know you can cook, but you don't have to." So it also took him a while to allow me to be feminine. And that's why that part of that divine feminine, part of that divine masculine, is you get to see the worst and best parts of yourselves reflected in each other, and you become each other's correction. He becomes my feminine, my divine feminine when he corrects me. I become his divine masculine when I correct him. And he allows me to be a woman. That's how I see it.
A lot of times, sweet Lulu Bean, I do things and my husband said, "Can you please sit down? You don't want me to do it." Or he's like, "You're doing too much," And but I'm just used to seeing my mother do everything to managing her home. It's what
Beautiful.
it is. I just manage my home and I don't want anybody else to do it. And he'll say, "You don't have," just like you said, you don't have to do that. But I'm like, I do. And I do it. And it does now. But listen, that's probably been about 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Now he probably has an expectation of, why my socks are not together or something like that. Well, he doesn't say anything, but now he's gotten used to it. This is not new. This has happened years back. But
it's not
he hasn't even told me to sit down lately either. So I don't know. He might be really getting used to things now. I don't know.
Like I was saying, Security Boss, it's not necessarily he's getting used to you doing things. He is allowing you to be feminine. Yep, he is allowing you to play your role, which is, let me fold your underwear, let me cook, whatever it is that makes you feel like a woman. Because the house, is your home. That's your domain. He pays the bills, he keeps the lights on, he'll have his little room somewhere, but that's your domain. So I will fold whatever I want to fold. This is my house, and I'm here to make sure that you're comfortable, that you don't have to worry. I'm your peace, and let me be that for you.
I totally agree with that. I totally do agree with that. So, is there anything else that you wanted to add to this? Because that was very good. And you have been probably the first person that I've seen that can relate to the folding of the underwear. I've said that before and people kind of look at me crazy. So I'm glad to know that there are other people out there folding underwear. So.
Well, I think that's very sexy. I love my woman to fold my underwear.
Oh, yeah. I'm down with that too. I mean,
listen, she doing all that. I might grab her and smack on the behind from the backside. She doing all that.
Well, you know what's even better is when women can get you to do something using femininity and then make you believe that it's your idea. That's it.
Right.
We know we're being manipulated, but we don't care. It feels too good.
Yeah, I get it. Right.
And that's what I call service. If my woman is serving me in that capacity, folding my underwear and my shirts, I don't see that as mothering because that's benefiting me.
No.
But if I tell her not to do it and she still does it, then that's mothering. But if she's doing it and I know it's benefiting me, I think it's sexy. It doesn't bother me at all. I love it, actually.
Yeah, definitely. Is there, sweet Lulu Beam? Is it? I missed you early today. I had to do some work actually do some work with my company, and I had to get off the live with Kosher early today. But I'm so happy to meet you, and he always talks about you, so it's a pleasure. And to have someone think like myself a little bit is good to know. So I want to say thank you for coming by, but is there anything else that you wanted to add to can masculine energy be attractive in women?
No.
No.
You don't think so?
No, and like I'm saying, or I think I was trying to say that a lot of the masculine energy that Black women exude is because of the lifestyle. Like I said, having to go out and provide and having to be masculine at work is because of the being here in the West. Isn't the easiest thing. But what I'm trying to say is it's something that can be changed. And being feminine doesn't mean you're a doormat. Being feminine, being submissive, doesn't mean that you're ill-treated. Firstly, once you've come into yourself and you've worked on whatever it is you have to work on, you get to a place where you know what you want from a man, and you will do what it takes to get it. And looking after.
Can I add to this, ladies?
Yes.
You think about it like this for us men. I don't know if Kosher would co-sign on this or not.
Guys, real quick, listen, I have to go. I got a patient waiting. It was a pleasure. I enjoyed this show. It was very powerful. But we got to do this again. Get ready for the Gen X Nexus. It's going to be lit. And so I look forward to having you on Security Boss, my man, the Ingram Experience. That's my 6'7" brother. You know, he got me by about an inch. I'm 6'6" with shoes on. But, that's my homie.
All right, then, brother.
All right, and also, man. Sweet Lulu Bean, thank you, sister. Love you. And you guys go check out that show we did about you and the day you and Security Boss, The Spirit of the Mongoose. So anyway, it was a pleasure. I enjoyed the show, ladies. Be well.
Thanks, Kosher. Thank you. Right. So go ahead and complete that thought for me. I want to hear that.
Well, here's what a lot of women don't understand about us, okay? Throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the months, we're competitive with other men. We're competitive at the job. We have a lot of masculine things going on in terms of how we challenge each other, how we argue with each other, how we debate with each other. So when you say masculine energy in women, we talk about the yin and the yang and the balance that people have to maintain in life. If you're saying that, okay, the reason why when women say masculine energy in women, for men, it's almost like they hear fingernails being right across a chalkboard, because that's giving us more of what we already have. You know what I mean? That's like somebody being on a coconut island, trapped, and when they see you give them another coconut, you give them a coconut custard pie, they're not going to like you very much. Right. So for us, you guys keep us in balance with the feminine energy, because we get to, when we come home, we get to drop our guard, de-escalate, come down from a hard day's work or debate or competitiveness that we've had with other men throughout the whole day. The last thing we want is more masculine energy, because that's the pond that we swim in. And to give us more of that, it's going to cause overload. You know, that's why masculine energy, no, very unattractive. You know
I agree with you. I agree with you in the examples that you used. I definitely do. But, you know, I took the opposite route. You know, I gave all the things that are sexy and attractive with the that require to tap into the masculine energy to do, just for the theatrics, because I know what you are.
I know.
I know exactly. But again, I don't want to give that shine, because
I got you.
I hate when women fuss and argue with a man and call them those B words or N words. You know, that's so embarrassing. So I don't want to even give that place. So I really definitely know what you're talking about, but I wanted to, some kind of way bring another aspect to the masculine energy. Maybe we need to name it something else. I don't know. But
probably so, because the masculine is just like men are like, no, not women. Because the femininity is power. I mean, women can really manipulate the hell out of men with femininity, and that's really, like most of the things that women want men to do, they can get them to do it, and have the men think it's their idea. So he's walking around beating on his chest. That was my idea. But it was really your idea. He didn't know. He's been conned. He's been gotten. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the power of feminine energy. Like I was explaining to you, how does a 5'4" woman in police uniform goes on a block and gets better results than the men?
Oh, I know.
Because they wouldn't touch her. You know what I mean? So because she's feminine, she's very feminine, and the guys are like, hey, leave her alone. They'll even pick on each other. Like, somebody disrespects her. I almost saw a guy get his head knocked off for disrespect. So you don't really, I'm watching from across the street.
No, I get it. That's what I experience every day. That's what I'm saying. That's the relationship I have with my officers. And they say to me, I can't tell you no. But I do know on the flip side, there's somebody else, a woman that will lead a man to be killed. I agree with you. I definitely agree. But listen, guys, we have been talking almost 2 hours.
Yes.
And 20 minutes. It goes by so quickly. But I appreciate you both. Sweet Lulu Bean, we have to talk again. Hopefully we can do a show. I need to learn more about you, I'm sure, and hope you learn more about myself. And the Ingram experience, you are very much a man, logical thinking, analytical. You put it out there and you make it clear. And I understand.
Well, thank you. Trust me, I'll give them all. They may not like me very much. I'll just go down the list. Promiscuity, masculine. This masculine, that masculine. Yes.
See, you didn't even give me a chance. See what I'm saying? That's my point. But listen, I want you definitely to shout out your platform, because you are a YouTuber, right?
Yes, my platform is the Ingram Experience. I mean, my platform was mostly about male empowerment, but understanding and seeing the disconnect online and seeing the miscommunication between. I think I might have to start helping women more, because what happens is we can have the conversations, but I've lived in certain experiences long enough to give the example.
Exactly. And you did that tonight, because you just gave an example how I would be crossed off the board. How many times? Security 1, boss 2, right?
Right.
Dark skin 3. I wouldn't have a chance. You all wouldn't even let me in the room, Automatically she's masculine. That would be right.
Well, they'd have to. Well, obviously how we look, we'd have to hear you talk. We'd have to watch your body language, and we have to watch how aggressive you are towards men. And usually, like if you, I don't want to use Kay, because Kay gets beat up on enough. But if you watch Kay on the show, she's always challenging men. She's big into shaming. She has to be right. And she punches below the belt all the time. She's going at Anton's masculinity, targeting his masculinity. It just examples of a radical feminist type masculine woman. We know, trust me. And it's the energy and the aura that a woman gives off. Like, you're not giving up that off, Sweet Little Bean. I can't see her face. I can't read her body language. I can read your body language. Obviously, I'm more adapted to polygraphs and all that, but that's a whole other story when you're dealing with how people's body language, our interview interrogation tactics and all that stuff, for basic assessment, behavioral assessments and all that stuff. But we can feel the energy from people. That's why what I do is, instead of being some radical guy who makes crazy videos on the internet, I show my face and I show who I am. Mm-hmm. And you connect that person with the video, because I think part of that, you deal with intent. When you look people in the eye and you have conversations with them, you get a different feeling from a person than just listening to a video. So it's the energy that matters.
I agree with you totally. The masculine energy.
Yes.
So I agree totally. It's the energy, is whatever we tap into to complete those tasks. So listen, I'm definitely going to check into the Ingram Experience, and I appreciate you so much for being here, and let me in the room at least. I mean, security boss.
You're going to get in the room because you've had the conversation. So.
Okay. At least you gave me that, because I'm telling you, I got so many strikes against me.
but your energy you're getting in all the rooms. You know what I mean? Kay may not get in the room, but you two ladies will get in the room. They'll slam the door on Kay.
Oh my God. Don't talk about it, but you're right. All right. So
Pretty
listen.
ladies, Ingram, I've got to go.
All right.
I gotta go too, ladies.
Thank you. And both of y'all have a good night. And thank you for being here. And I will definitely look both of you up and continue to follow Security Boss Unsolicited. And we'll definitely see each other again.
All right. Good night.
Good night. Thank you. Oh, for guys, I'm so sorry. For you all that are still in the chat, thank you for being here. We've been here 2 hours and 30 minutes now. And I want to say good night and continue to follow Security Boss. And we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Playing house, this ain't a home with my soul.
You can't cover it up.
I can't sit still for a minute. I'm so dead set on indifference. Keep it Charlie, stay down with them Dickens. Let's get around like it's the 80s. Right round, let's keep spinning. Let's keep playing these games that we don't want to finish. And I'm sorry if that sounds a bit bitter, but I am to the core. You want the whole damn thing, then you asking for more. You want that old jive swing, you take up all of the floor. I'm fine with standing at the edge of the door. You be the life of the party. I blend in with the core. You drink it all to Bacardi. Till the bottles no more. Let's take it back for this started. You want the love, I don't got it. Got my soul on the road. You screaming stay, baby please don't go. Don't think it's in me to listen to flow. It's so different with distance we roam into zones where nothing get hurt anymore. I just wish I was home when I stepped through front door, but instead I'm alone and completely unsure. And even though you're screaming out with the best of intentions, I don't get it. Why do you always gotta ask me to stay? Why you always gotta go? Playing house, this ain't a home with your soul on the road. Say, why you always gotta go? Playing house, this ain't a home with your soul on the road. See, I've been lost in my thoughts, and my thoughts they too scared to usher off. Sorry, Mom, I just thought you were my world. Now you're not. And I'm just sitting, smoking, sloping in the days, cause my days ain't been the same since I drove your way. I remember the way you wrote letters in blue ink. You and me was in love. Think about what your crew think. I know your moms probably think I'm a bastard. Your pops probably want to beat my death and take a in my casket. But I got sick of fighting, bickering, fussing over nothing, cussing. Instead of watching the death of discussions that we once had, days that we once spent in the backseat of our cars reading poets at sunset. It's funny how love can fall out the foreground, get pushed into the back of your mind. We used to twist the spliff and laugh and relax. Are you crying? And I'm trying to find the reasons, so I ask, does forever ever happen, or is it always fade to black? I can't stay. No, I always gotta go. Playing house, this ain't a home with my soul on the road. I can't stay. No, I always gotta go. Playing house, this ain't a home with my soul on the road. You say that all is good. You say that all is great. I say that y'all can't. And that's cause y'all seem fake. That's cause y'all seem. You say that all is good. You say that all is great. I say that y'all can't. And that's cause y'all seem fake. That's cause y'all seem. Hope for a minute you'd notice me, but you didn't try. Living out a dream, but got caught up in something different. Think I'm probably just a piston and inner workings of engines. Put my pen down for a second, end up watching it as it trembling. Cause I've been trembling, look around and I'm feeling frightened. Put my head down for a minute, pick it up and then watch his light. Pretend you're righteous and realize that my evil just be something that's a part of me. Partly I'm keeping see-through. So you can watch your bitch.